Good evening and welcome to the big May budget meeting for 2026. My name is Alexis Folgaris, the RTM moderator. And this evening we have, as everyone has received a copy of the call, the reading of the call shall be omitted. And this evening we have a wonderful group of students from the Hamilton Avenue School representing the Odyssey of the Mind team who will lead us in a pledge. And then they're going to tell us a little bit about what they're offering outside and why they're offering it. So it's all yours.
Should we say it? Tell me what to say. Now, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You want to tell us where you're going?
We are going to Ames, Iowa. Odyssey of the Mind is an international educational program that provides creative problem-solving opportunities for students from kindergarten through college. It offers a unique learning experience that helps students develop skills that last a lifetime. Through their participation, students learn to collaborate, respect diverse perspectives, evaluate ideas, and make independent decisions. We have gained confidence, built self-esteem, and developed important life skills through our hard work and dedication. We also learn to manage a budget, think creatively, and understand that there are often multiple solutions to a problem. Odyssey teaches that the journey can just be as important as the outcome.
So you guys have something out in the hallway. What are you selling out in the hallway?
Cookies. We're having a bake sale to help raise money for going to Ames, Iowa.
So you all look very hungry. So the meeting is going to run long. So I suggest you load up on your snacks and your water and sit back and enjoy the show. Thank you very much and good luck in Iowa.
Thank you.
Okay. I have one other announcement, which is Jude Collins has worked his magic again this year, and the RTM has a table at the town party. So you can come and visit our table, which will have Steve Rubin, myself, and Jude manning it. We have a beautiful new banner that District 1 should never go near. And we will, yeah. And so if you're at the town party, please come and visit our table. We'll also have like little swag that we're giving out. So that should be fun for everybody. Okay. As all members have received a copy of the minutes from the April meeting, the reading of the minutes shall be omitted. I do have two changes to note. Vinay Pandey and Stacy Young were marked absent, but they should have been marked as present. So we'll make that note in the minutes. Are there any other proposed changes to our April minutes? Hearing none and absent objection, the minutes as amended stand adopted upon unanimous consent. That brings us to the call for tonight's meeting. All of the items 1 through 5 will be taken up separately, which means item number 1 is now before us, which is the time at which to adjourn. Is Mr. Bergweger here, please? Kip Bergweger, Chair of our Legislative and Rules Committee, will be introducing the resolution for item 1.
Fellow members of the RTM and guests, item 1, resolved that the meeting of the RTM on Monday, May 11, 2026, if the business of the meeting has not been canceled by 12 midnight, the meeting shall adjourn at that time to meet again on Tuesday, May 12, 2026 at 7 p.m. at Central Middle School and via Zoom webinar.
Thank you. May a member please move the adoption of the resolution? Moved and seconded and has been adopted. Mr. Bergweger, do you have anything that you'd like to offer from L&R's report?
Legislative Rules met Monday evening. I have more details to come when we get to a later item on the matter, but on this one, we thought this was really a good idea, and we voted 10-0-0 in favor.
Fantastic. Fortunately, no one has signed up to debate this item. We can take it up upon unanimous consent. Is there any, otherwise we'll take a record vote. Is there anyone who objects to the proposal that if we haven't finished by midnight, we will adjourn and come back tomorrow? Okay, hearing none and absent objection, that item has been adopted upon unanimous consent. That brings us, Mr. Bergweger, to item 2, which I believe you will also be introducing for us.
Yes. Resolved that the time to speak at the May RTM be limited to 2 minutes per speaker for each motion, except that the proponent and principal opponent of the motion, the latter to be determined by the moderator, shall be entitled to speak for 5 minutes each. Committee reports shall be limited to 7 minutes each, except for budget overview, education, and finance. The budget overview, education, and finance committee reports shall be limited to 10 minutes each.
Thank you.
Legislative and Rules approve this 10-0-0.
Thank you. May we have, will somebody please move and second the resolution? Moved and seconded and is now before us. Again, no one has debated that. We can, did you want to offer anything else, Mr. Bergweger, on that item?
No, that's it.
Okay. Again, if there's no objection, we can adopt this upon unanimous consent. Is there anyone objecting to the time limits outlined in item 2? Hearing none and absent objection, item 2 has been adopted upon unanimous consent. That now brings us to our annual budget. Is First Selectman Camillo here? We're going to hear introductions from First Selectman Fred Camillo and then David Weisbrod, Chair of our BET. And then we'll take it from there. First Selectman Fred Camillo for the 2026-2027 budget.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There we go. Sorry about that. Good evening, Madam Moderator, RTM members, and guests. I'd like to thank the BET for working well this year with all of the departments, the Office of First Selectman, and the RTM. It was a very productive year with the budget. And again, it was a lot of give and take, a lot of good questions asked, a lot of thorough vetting, but I think we came to a good conclusion there. I'd like to specifically ask you tonight to about items 9 and 10. A lot of work went into those items. I'd ask that people please consider not voting to cut those items. Speaking first of Roger Sherman Baldwin Park, been talking about that for 6 years. And finally, the holdup has always been finding a place for the operations at Parks and Recreation, which was we identified as a transfer station a few years ago. That's a holdup. However, in speaking with the Director of Parks and Rec, we have looked at 3 other places to split those operations up, which may get us there a lot quicker. And of course, the $10 million estimate to redo the park will be cut in half at a minimum with private donations. The other one is the rink. There has been no project, no debate that has been longer lasting than this. The rink was built in 1972, piecemeal. The debate over what to do with it has been going on for 51 years, starting in 1975. It's about time to get it done. It's been thoroughly vetted. There has been no project I've ever seen more vetted than this one. We put together in the last 5 years, 2 committees and a task force, being the most recent, which really reached out to everyone, especially RTM, went over all of the concerns. We put everybody that had an issue from a group, we put on the task force there. We came to a really great conclusion, I think. It's been, again, thoroughly vetted. It is time. If you go to other towns, this is one of the rinks that is really subpar. It's kind of an embarrassment to the town, but the good news is it's not just the rink. We're going to get a brand new showcase baseball field. 90-foot diamond, and of course, enhance Morlot Park, Memorial Park, which is really a solemn place for a lot of people in this town. And there's no plaques there telling you what's there. We really want to enhance that too. So 3 things will be coming forward with that. There will be a public-private partnership. Thank you to the task force and Chairman Matt Deschamps for, again, thoroughly vetting this and listening to everyone. And we put out a survey a few years ago, and it came back overwhelmingly with over 3,000 respondents in favor of getting it done. Thank you so much for all your work, and good luck tonight.
Thank you. David Weisbrod, Chair of our Budget Estimate and Taxation, will be giving his remarks and then introducing item number 3.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and good evening to the RTM. So I'm here to introduce item number 3. I hope everyone on the RTM received the link to the submission statement that we provided, but if you didn't, we do have copies of the statement up in the front for anyone who wants to read them. BET approved the budget that's before you with a unanimous vote, 12-0-0. And this is a function of collaboration among all 12 members of the BET, the functioning of our committees, the partnership with the First Selectman, with the departments, and with the schools. We're particularly proud of the introduction of a multi-year planning initiative for our capital projects and the introduction of a 10-year capital plan that allows all of us on the BET and you in the RTM to do stress testing of how different financing approaches will work for all of the projects that we have appropriated. Getting to the specifics, we are recommending a budget of $542 million versus $521 million, which is in the current fiscal year. That's an increase of 4.1%. The operating budget, including the schools and the departments and fixed charges, increases by 3.6% versus 3.9% last year. We have the normal contractual wage obligations, but beyond that, we're facing tailwinds, or I should say headwinds, from higher healthcare costs of about $6.2 million, a larger bus contract and for the schools, and $1 million increment to the town's risk fund. You all know we did a property revaluation, which resulted in a new grand list of $46 billion and a mill rate of 10.12. Now, our operating costs increased by 3.6%, which more or less aligns with the regional rate of inflation. Overall, we increased by 4.1%, and that's mainly due to the need to address deficiencies in previous years, not just last year, but a series of years, budgets as it pertained to funding the capital projects that we've appropriated. And so we're addressing that, or starting to address it this year. In particular, we increased the capital tax levy by $5 million, which is a large increase, larger than what we've done in the past. Some of the capital requests included in our $92 million capital budget are the closeout for the Julian Curtis school renovation, the closeout of funding for soil remediation at the high school, the replacement of the Byram River Bridge, the Wallace Center improvements matched by some private funding, the improvement or replacement of the culvert at Fairfield Road, and the rink, which the First Selectman just mentioned. All of these items received unanimous votes at the BET, and we urge you to vote favorably on all of these items before you. We do face challenges, in particular, Nathaniel Witherall, the census is lower than it should be, or we want it to be. We also face cost escalation on projects due to inflation, but we're all up to those challenges, and I'm confident we'll meet them. So in summary, I respectfully request that you view our budget favorably and vote to approve the fiscal year 27 submission. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're not done yet. So scoot over and introduce it. You don't have to read, all the money codes. You can.
I needed to just simply introduce Resolution 3, I believe, as it appears in the book that you've been given, right?
Fantastic. Is there a second? All right, item 3 has been moved and seconded and is now before us. Okay, so let me just summarize how we're going to proceed from this point forward. In a moment, we're going to begin by hearing the individual standing committee reports. And after the conclusion of those reports, we are going to go through all of the major object codes, which is in the operative document. If you don't have one or you're not following on your phone, there's some extra copies down there. Okay, so it is the document that you all received in your packet, labeled RTM. I think it says what? March 31st, 2026 at the bottom. I will begin reading by major object code. I'm aware of 5 motions that are coming up. We will pause when we get to that major object code and then take up that proposed amendment. Once we go past an object code, we do not go back. So if someone intends to offer a motion from the floor that I am not aware of, you are entitled to do that, but you have to get my attention before we go past the major object code, okay? So you're just gonna stand up and say, you're making a motion to amend or whatever you're doing, okay? Let's just go through procedurally. As you know, the RTM can approve the budget as suggested by the BET. It can reduce a line item, or it may eliminate a line item entirely with certain limitations. Any motions will be treated as a motion to amend item 3. Because we don't take up motions to amend a pending motion to amend, we're just going to take them up one by one as they come, okay? After disposing of all of the motions directed at item 3, which includes all the major object codes for both capital and operating, we will take up the budget resolutions, and we are going to take a final vote on the budget, possibly as amended. We will then take up 2 separate votes on the bonding, one for capital and one for sewers. They may or may not be amended, or capital could be amended, sewer likely not. Each of those needs to be approved by a majority of the full membership, so at least 116 people. Our charter stipulates that if the RTM fails to adopt a budget by May 15th, the operating budget as recommended by the BET will take effect. So we want to make sure we know what we're doing by May 15th. Are there any questions so far? This is my long preamble. Committee reports we've heard, there are going to be 3 reports that will be 10 minutes long each. Budget overview, education and finance, the remaining will be 7 minutes each. Okay, we ready? Okay, with that, James Waters, chairman of our budget overview committee, who will have 10 minutes, and we're going to put 10 minutes on the clock. That's 3. You good at speed reading? No, we're going to get. We're getting there. Yeah. There we go. All right, all yours.
All right. Good evening, fellow members. Tonight, I'm pleased to provide you with a report from the Budget Overview Committee's consideration of the FY 26-27 budget. This year, BOC members covered all of the BET's meetings on the budget, starting with the public hearing on January 27th and ending on its decision day on March 31st. In addition, BOC participated in the BET debt and fund balance policy meetings in February, March, and April. Finally, BOC's kept an eye on both the Hamel Rink Task Force and the GHS Natatorium Tennis and Access Driveway Feasibility Committee, with BOC members serving on both committees. BOC spent a lot of time on the budget this year, beyond just considering it last week. I do want to highlight that this is the first budget we've seen in nearly a decade that was unanimously approved by the BET. As we heard, the budget before us is a $542 million budget, with 88% comprised by operating expenses and the other 12% from the capital tax levy. Property taxes provide 85% of the funding, the balance provided by non-tax revenue and use of fund balance. Overall operating expense growth is moderate at about 3.6%, in line with recent historical trends, representing a 5-year low on a normalized basis. Personnel costs comprise 80% of operating expenses, with only modest growth and a slight decline in total headcount, aside from targeted additions in the police department. There are several key cost drivers shaping the budget, including rising healthcare expenses and a notable increase in pupil transportation costs. In addition, there are some offsets like lower pension obligations. The BET increased the capital tax levy by $5 million, bringing it to $66 million. The capital tax levy funds debt previously incurred on private prior year projects and a cash portion of current year appropriations. This begins to get us in a place to fund bond obligations for major projects like the Central Middle School replacement and the OGS renovation. The BET views this as a first step toward addressing a potential violation of the town's debt policy limits in the coming years. The first selectman's budget expected property taxes would increase by 6.8%. While the BET increased the capital tax levy by $2 million more than previous years, it also cut $8.1 million in other areas of the budget. Taken together, this results in a 1% reduction in the use of non-tax revenue and an 8% reduction in the use of fund balance and a 5.4% increase in required property taxes. This, of course, is counterbalanced by the recent revaluation in property assessments. Total capital appropriations in the budget are $92 million. I'm not going to read them. They're all in front of you, and we'll be talking about a few of them tonight. It also includes design funding for projects in the budget that we will discuss. The BET highlighted to BOC a number of structural and strategic considerations for the town, to include Nathaniel Witherell and the ongoing census challenges, the need for a comprehensive review of fee structures in the coming year, and potential public-private partnerships to bolster non-tax revenues. In the coming year, the BET expects to drive efficiencies through evaluation of staffing levels, business processes, and the expanded use of technology and AI. An upcoming audit of town IT systems will help assess whether current structures are appropriate. The BET is also focused on managing debt capacity, with likely increased pressure in coming years. Some of the first steps are being taken in this budget to support long-term financial sustainability. In their presentations to BOC, members of both parties on the BET expressed a few key themes. All believe this is a fiscally conservative, responsible budget for the town. All highlighted the deliberate planning that went into the budget. All discussed the collaborative nature of the budget process. All emphasized that the town is not at risk of losing its AAA credit rating, but flagged that they're mindful of approaching debt policy limits. To manage the latter, the BET has inventoried all capital projects across departments and built a consensus model to evaluate future spending. The BET is proactively trying to address long-term challenges early and actively considering a number of options, like slowing down capital investment, which doesn't appear to have widespread support, increasing the capital tax levy, which is expected to continue to rise annually, adjusting the maturity of debt, which is being carefully looked at, emphasizing the important role public-private partnerships may play. It's important to remind everyone of the RTM's ability to influence the town budget. If the RTM approves the budget goes into effect. If the RTM votes down the BET's budget, the BET operating budget goes into effect, but we would have no capital budget absent further action by the BET. Our sole ability to change the budget is to propose cuts or reductions and then approve the budget as amended. In addition, the RTM can only remove BET conditions on funding by deleting the specific funding itself. If the BET agrees to amend the budget and then votes, if the RTM agrees to amend the budget and then votes down the amended budget, the entire capital budget becomes moot. BOC considered 3 amendments to the budget. 1 passed. First, BOC considered a $300,000 reduction to the law department after learning the ongoing lawsuit between the first selectman and the Board of Ed has cost the town $500,000 to date. Last year, the cost was $200,000. The basic goal of the motion was transparency and for an interim to be required for extraordinary future legal costs. The amendment failed 4-8-0. Outcome aside, BOC expressed a strong desire for the litigation to end immediately rather than incur additional cost to taxpayers. Second, BOC considered a $39.4 million reduction to the Hamel Rink project. This amendment would cut all construction funds for the Hamel Rink and $900,000 of design funding. BOC's tracked this project closely for the past several years. Many of you will know BOC voted to reject the Hamel MI 16 months ago. BOC also debated Hamel at its April meeting, pointing out a few open items that were clarified prior to our meeting. It seemed clear to most BOC members the task force's work has improved a number of aspects of the project to include the rigorous examination of potential alternative sites, better communication with neighbors and stakeholders, and an updated cost estimate more in line with the reality of construction pricing than it was a year ago. BOC members seem to believe, based on current costs and project scope, that overall costs will be likely be closer to $50 million than to 40, but felt it was important to move the project forward in this budget. Several members noted the RTM's continued oversight of the project through the MI referral next month and an interim appropriation that will be likely before construction starts. Members noted that this was no different to how Central Middle School project was treated in the FY 23-24 budget, which everyone knew would be more expensive and ultimately required an interim appropriation later that fiscal year. A few members noted they expected to see a viable operating model and meaningful progress on public-private partnerships before they would support such an interim appropriation. BOC rejected the proposed reduction by a vote of 2 to 10. Those voting no reinforced points above and warned a reduction in Hamel will delay and add costs to future upcoming priority projects like the Riverside renovation and the GHS Natatorium Tennis Access Driveway project. Finally, BOC considered a $100,000 reduction to the Roger Sherman Baldwin Park redevelopment. This reduction leaves $150,000 intact so DPW can complete its analysis on the relocation of the Parks and Trees staff building, a step that must be completed before the park can be redesigned. In particular, members felt the project scope wasn't well constructed as it excludes the former Teen Center building, the largest facility on the property. With work on the Arch Street Task Force in process, members felt that work should be completed to ensure a cohesive redevelopment plan can be built. BOC voted unanimously 12-0-0 to approve this motion. I'll save further commentary on this for later. After those amendments, BOC considered item 3, the proposed budget as amended, voting 11-1-0 to approve it. The lone member voting no explained that his no vote was based on the rejection of his proposed cut to the Hamel Rink. Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Jill Oberlander, Vice Chair of the Finance Committee.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, members of the RTM, and other town officials, residents, and guests. The Finance Committee met last Monday, May 4th, and all districts were represented. We were joined by BET Chair David Weisbrod, BET member Harry Fisher, Town Comptroller Joan Lynch, DPW Commissioner Jim Michael, and DPW Director of Building Construction and Maintenance Luigi Romano. The committee considered the 3 budget items referred to it, as well as a resolution that is non-budget related, so I won't discuss it now. And then we joined the Education Committee for their discussion with the leadership of the Greenwich Public Schools on the proposed schools budget. I know we're going to hear from the Education Committee, so I'll let them summarize that meeting in the interest of brevity and keeping it short. And since Chair Weisbrod and BOC Chair James Water just gave a very complete account of their the budget and of the BOC meeting, much of which was covered, I was planning to cover it in my remarks. I'll just say that the Finance Committee had a specific presentation on the 3 departments that were assigned to us: Finance, Assessor, and the Tax Collector by our guests, and went through the budget and had many of the same highlights that you've just heard. So no need to discuss them again, I'll just give the summary of our votes. We took 4 votes. The first was on a motion by a District 4 alternate, Mark Fictel, to reduce the proposed funding for the Hamel Rink by $38.5 million. The committee voted 1-10-1 to reject this amendment, with District 7 voting yes and District 10 abstaining, and the discussions were in line with what BOC discussed as well. And then we took a vote on the item 3, the budget, and we voted 12-0-0 to approve item 3, budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our final 10-minute speaker is going to be Sam Rosenfeld with our Education Committee report. And if I could have all of the other standing committee chairs just queue up on the side, and we'll take you as you come. But if you can get lined up for your 7-minute reports, that would be helpful. Sam Rosenfeld, Vice Chair of Education.
Thank you very much. Okay, the proposed FY27 budget totals $207,178,854, representing a 3.1% year-over-year increase. This proposal falls within the BET guidelines of a 3.25% increase. Functional allocation for this: instruction is 80%, it's $165.8 million. Pupil transportation is 8%, $15.5 million. In a moment, I'll tell you that's a 17.9% increase year over year. Administrative is 4% at $7.5 million. Operation of plants is 4%, $8.4 million. Maintenance of plants is 3%, $7.1 million. And student activity is 1% at $2.6 million. So let's get into the primary budget drivers and pressures. Thankfully, we were joined by a whole host of excellent speakers. We were joined by the Finance Committee, as I mentioned. We had Michael Mercanti Anthony, Chair of the BOE, Dr. Tony Jones, Superintendent of GPS, Ben Brannion, Chief Financial Administrative Officer, Patrick Liu, Director of BOE Finance, Laura Erickson, BET, Joe Pellegrino, BET, and John Fisher from PTAC. I hope I got everyone. Okay, the budget increase is dominated by 2 non-discretionary costs. One is contractual wage increases. Staff salaries represent 76% of the total budget. Contractual obligations for existing staff account for $5.2 million of the budgetary pressure, and then transportation surge. Pupil transportation is projected to rise nearly 18% by $2.3 million, or up $2.3 million, sorry. One reason is the labor market. A massive readjustment, quote, in driver labor contracts was necessary for retention. And the other is parking infrastructure. This was a major issue. The lack of town-controlled bus parking acts as a, quote, albatross during bidding. Vendors must lease private space in nearby cities like Stamford. Although, as you know, right now, we are struggling to find those spaces. And I do commend Dr. Jones, Ben Brannion, and team for searching. They've looked at over 50 locations for the buses that currently have no home. Okay, let's move on to efficiencies. So I'm very proud to say there are a number of ways that they offset the cost pressures. The administration identified $1.3 million in savings through the elimination of 11.5 FTE positions. Enrollment trends are the main reason behind that. Secondary enrollment is dropping towards a projected low of 2,400 students. Something about that's not quite right. Hold on a sec. Attrition strategy. Dr. Jones clarified the district is not conducting layoffs. The positions are being eliminated through natural attrition, such as retirements and resignations. Targeted instructional investments. Despite the net staffing reductions, the budget includes strategic additions for high needs areas, such as special education. There are 2 additional FTEs, 1 speech teacher and 1 5th grade co-teacher to address growing special education needs and early childhood increases. Okay, where am I doing on time? Okay, doing all right. Too fast, too slow, who knows? Capital plan highlights. Let's move on. Okay, the long range capital plan totals $367 million. The Greenwich High School pool replacement is the most significant near-term project, with a $4 million architectural and engineering request for FY27 toward a total project cost of $59 million. We're not going to get into all the details of that discussion. It did take up the majority of our Q&A. I will go into some notes here. Members questioned that pool investment while staffing cuts were occurring, and older schools like North Street and Riverside were awaiting modernization. There is a number of concerns about the bus parking, and I will reassure you that the town really is trying everything possible to relocate these buses at Western. let me see, and also that overall transportation costs for all busing in all nearby areas is increasing due to a number of different pressures. Academic performance is a real highlight. I know we talk about the budget a lot here, but the school's leadership noted that Greenwich is the only Connecticut district to return to pre-COVID test performance. GHS also earned gold distinction on the 2025 AP honor roll with 97.38% of those students taking the test scoring 3 or higher. Now let's get to the votes. Okay, so we voted on a number of items. D10 was absent for all of these, so the vote summary is on operating items 315 through 801 that we voted on, votes were 1100. For capital, 315, 440, 680, 701, and 822. Votes were 1010. D11 did not support pool spending. There was a motion to reduce the pool spending by $2 million brought by D11, but the vote was 110-0, with D11 voting yes. Item 670, we voted on the school lunch fund. Vote was 11-0-0. Resolutions 44 through 47, and then 48, 49, and then there was an additional category. We vote was 11-0-0. Bonding was 37. Bonding for 3738 was vote 11-0-0. Oh boy. Oh yeah, and then there are a bunch of thank yous. I just wanted to say real quick. Thank you to the whole education committee. Thanks to Stephen Rubin, who sincerely wanted to be here to deliver these notes, and I'm sure more. He helped prep us for a great meeting. Thank you to Susan Fahey for helping run an excellent meeting. And thanks to all the people I mentioned before for being so generous with your time and helping to educate us on the line changes. Town libraries who came to speak with us, and to all the education committees who submitted reports on the 15 Greenwich Public Schools, and the reports are on the Education Committee page. I'm done. Good night. Well, not good.
Thanks. I meant to thank you. Sam and Steve did a lovely little AI presentation to everybody.
Oh,
Yeah, that was very good. So did you use AI for that?
I did.
Okay. No, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like he's leading us. We learned all sorts of interesting things. I did, he said, oh, you can go and test AI. So I took a wonderful picture of the last people seen with the banner, which was District 1, and I sent it to him. And I said, what? I said, which one of these is the most likely suspect? It didn't yield any results, did it? No. All right. All right. All right. All right. Cheryl Moss, Chair of our Public Works Committee.
Good evening, everybody. We also used AI for our meeting notes.
There's nothing wrong with AI. I'm not condemning it, it's the wave of the
It
future.
helps.
Yeah.
Okay. The Public Works Committee met Monday, May 4th at 7 p.m. in the Everest Room, the Town Hall. Our guests included Doug Fenton and Joe Kelly from the BET. Thank you, Joe, for the Dunkin' Donut Munchkins. Gabriella Sarkosta-Cohi, the Deputy Commissioner of Public Works, Peter Karpowski of the Highway Superintendent, Rich Feminella, the Wastewater Division Manager, Luigi Romano, Superintendent of Building Construction and Maintenance, and Stephanie Cowie attended to answer questions about the Hamel Rink. Doug Fenton from the BET presented key budgets and drivers for fiscal year 2026-27. Notable highlights for the Department of Public Works budget include $25.9 million in operating expenses, up 2.3% from fiscal year 25-26. DPW revenues are up 8.4% overall. Building inspection revenue is up 10% to $5.8 million. Highways revenue is driven by reimbursements and is up 31% to $3 million. The waste disposal revenue decline of 9.5% is driven by lower waste volumes and corresponding lower tipping fee revenue at Holly Hill. DPW capital appropriations are $62 million of the $92 million budget overall. This reflects the largest project, which is Hamel Rink at $41.2 million, as well as Byram River Bridge replacement at $4 million, paving at $3.75 million, Fairfield Road culvert at $2 million, GHS soil remediation at $2 million, the Senior Center interior upgrade at $1.7 million, and Grass Island infrastructure at $1.225 million. Following the BET presentation, Public Works members presented their subcommittee reports. Craig Amundson reported that of building construction and maintenance, the operating budget is up 3.5% due to the cost of maintaining the vacant Art Street Teen Center building. The capital budget includes the Hamel Rink as its largest item. Design changes include a new flipped site design with a new access road and geothermal, which are not included in this estimate request. elimination of the food truck window in favor of a concession food area, and no plan for solar due to the building's new location. John Hopley reported on the sewer divisions that sewer maintenance budget is of 9.1 million is up 12%, largely due to electric rates, which have increased 9%, and the cost to truck sludge, which is up 8%. Major upcoming items for this division include Grass Island at 41 million in fiscal year 2028 and Old Greenwich Pump Station at 30 million in financial year 2029. Patricia Adams reported on environmental matters. GHS soil remediation continues with PCBs removal requiring $2 million. Hamel Rink site shows naturally occurring arsenic, but remediation may be needed after demolition. Geothermal was evaluated for the senior center and will be evaluated for Hamel Rink. It may not be feasible for the senior center, but solar is still an option there. I reported on the waste disposal at Holly Hill. The primary cost driver being the waste removal contract, which is at its end. The new contract is currently out for RFP, specifying a term of 10 years plus 2 5-year extension options. The new contract will provide firmer direction for the waste division budget going forward. This budget includes $50,000 for a long-awaited Holly Hill redesign. The new plan will attempt to separate commercial from residential users and relocate some DPW employees currently housed at other sites. The item 3 vote on the budget as it pertains to Public Works was 11-0-0 with D3 absent. And do you want to know the item 4 and 5 votes? Since I'm up here. Items 4 and 5 on the bonding resolutions were both 11-0-0 with District 3 absent. Sorry. Our meeting adjourned at 8:45 p.m. And I'd like to thank Sue Khanna for excellent meeting notes and using AI. Thank you.
Thank you. Myra Clockenbrink with the report for the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good evening, members and guests. The Parks and Recreation Committee met on May 5th. In attendance were Matt Deschamps and Josh Brown of the BET, Luigi Romano, Superintendent of Building Construction, Joe Siciliano, Director, and Dan Carlson, Assistant Director of the Department of Parks and Recreation. Parks and Recreation develops its budget from the ground up, almost literally. Each division evaluates its operations, staffing, and programming, and those inputs are rolled up into a department-wide proposal. At the same time, capital projects are reviewed annually, updated for cost, relevance, and priority based on data, professional assessments, and community input. On the operating side, the proposed increase is approximately 2.84%, that's pretty accurate, or $14.77 million, which is just slightly above the BET guideline of 2.75%. This modest difference is not the result of a change in service levels. It is due to labor costs. Parks and Recreation is a labor-intensive department. It employs about 100 full-time staff and roughly 300 seasonal and part-time workers. Over the past decade, the minimum wage was nearly doubled to $16.40 an hour, and that has created a ripple effect. It's not just entry-level wages that increase. There's also pressure to adjust wages for experienced staff to retain them. Each year, the Parks and Recreation reviews its schedule with the board, its fee schedule with the Board of Selectmen. They benchmark against other municipalities, evaluate demand, and adjust where appropriate. The goal is not simply to raise revenue, it's to balance affordability with budget needs. The department wants broad access to programs across income levels, age groups, and neighborhoods while stewarding our tax dollars. Projects are being backed. Major projects are being backed by professional studies and master plans, which are updated regularly with better developed cost estimates and sequenced across multi-year timelines. For instance, field and court master plans, park master plans, ADA accessibility planning, facility condition assessments, ferry and marine infrastructure, which this year required new investment into aging ferry boats that the Coast Guard has said would not pass inspection next year. So that $600,000 number you see, that's the reason why. A particularly important discussion within this budget was the use of enterprise or revolving funds. The Griff Golf Course operates entirely on user fees, generates operating surplus in most years, and maintains reserves for capital improvements. It functions essentially like a self-sustaining enterprise within the town. The Griff revolving fund prompted a discussion for a similar approach to the Hamel Rink. Under this model, revenues generated by the facility through programming, rentals, and user fees would cover operating costs and contribute to a reserve for future maintenance. The financial model presented suggests that such a structure could approach operational break-even with only a small projected gap under fairly conservative assumptions. However, this model depends on several variables, including year-round programming demand, summer ice time, final facility design, whatever the staff they need, and utility costs. It is also noted that enterprise funds can take time to stabilize, particularly in the early years, and it would depend on whether the solar and/or the geothermal systems are integrated into the project and what savings they could bring to operational expenses. There was also an extended discussion regarding the site conditions, particularly soil quality, which has been a concern in nearby projects. According to the information presented, a Phase 1 environmental review found no areas of concern based on the historical use of the site. A Phase 2 assessment included target testing, which identified some naturally occurring elements such as elevated levels of arsenic, consistent with regional background conditions, but no contamination requiring remediation. It was also noted that the site differs from other locations in town where fill material had been brought in historically. In this case, the rink site is described as a long-established graded area at a higher elevation at upland, reducing concerns about unknown fill in the present site. Any soil management required during construction would be addressed through standard planning and mitigation measures as part of the final design process. Additional project elements included access improvements, including a secondary access road. This is intended to provide emergency egress and improved accessibility to the Memorial Grove and is incorporated within the overall budget through contingency allowances that total 20% of the proposed budget. We took a vote on the Parks and Recreation budget of 1200 and a second vote on the Griff Golf Course Revolving Fund 1100. District 2 had logged off. I didn't realize about the vote. Thank you. And thank you for all the people who work so hard to bring these reports to us and present. Well, we are truly indebted to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy Harris, Chair of our Land Use Committee.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Madam Moderator and members of the RTM. The Land Use Committee met on Monday, May 4th at 7 p.m. to discuss the fiscal year 26-27 town budget. Present at our meeting were Matt Deschamps and Josh Brown from the BET, Jim Michael and Luigi Romano from the Department of Public Works, Margarita Albin, Chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and Patrick LaRoe, Director of the Planning and Zoning Department. We started our meeting by reviewing the budgets for the commissions and agencies that land use is responsible for reviewing: the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency, the Conservation Commission, the Historic District Commission, Condemnation Commission, Harbor Management Commission, and also the Architectural Review Board and Flood and Erosion Control Board, whose budgets were not broken out for our review. All of the proposed budgets appear to be consistent with past requests and in line with expectations. Of note, the Conservation Commission is requesting a biennial $75,000 capital appropriation to establish a fund for open space acquisition. These funds will cover essential pre-acquisition costs such as surveys and wetland mapping to streamline the review of potential parcels when they become available. Also of note, Planning and Zoning is requesting funding for consulting services and research to support the updated POCD. Mr. LaRoe was on hand to explain that in preparation for the needed 10-year update to the town's plan of conservation and development, they're requesting funding to support the anticipated planning and consultant costs associated with this effort. They estimate the cost for the POCD update to be $250,000, with the preparation process expected to span 18 to 24 months. For fiscal year 2027, they are requesting 1/3 of the total cost, which is $84,000, to initiate the project, which is expected to begin with the selection of a consultant in the second half of 27. The remaining amount for the POCD will be requested in 2028 to complete the plan. A portion of this expense will be offset by a reduction in the existing annual consultant budget line number 51440 from $48,000 to $20,000, which they believe will be sufficient to continue supporting regular department activities in the short term during the POCD process. Then, and as is customary for land use, Jim Michael, Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, went through their budget with much of the discussion focused on the Hamel Rink. Mr. Michael explained the request for funding for the Hamel Rink design and construction, noting that bidding is targeted for early 2027. BE representatives explained that if there are any additional appropriations beyond the requested amount, they must still be approved by the RTM and the BET. Additional public works budget items that we discussed included funding for road maintenance, fleet upgrades, and Binney Park dredging. Land use then went on to items 3 and 4, and our BET guests went through their presentation about the budget and the capital plan, which everybody saw, so I won't scratch that out. I won't go through all that. The BET mentioned that they're closely monitoring costs with a focus on staffing headcount, energy efficiency opportunities, education spending, and operations under new management at the Nathaniel Witherell. Our committee decided to combine items 3 and 4 and then approve them 11-0-0 with D2 absent via unanimous consent. No specific cuts in the budget were approved by land use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Richard Newman, Chair of our Town Services Committee.
Madam Moderator, members of the RTM, BET, and guests. Town Services started along with the BET back in February, reviewing 13 different budgets. We oversee the RTM, Ethics, GEMS, Emergency Operations, Office of the First Selectman, Purchasing, Administrative Services, Human Resources, Registrar of Voters, Information Technology, Town Clerk, Fire Department, and Police Department. Now I'll go into detail. No, I'm only kidding. It's too big to go into detail. The 13 department budgets that we oversee, $70.6 million operating and $5.1 million in capital. A majority of the increases that we did see were related to salary increases, which are contracted. Very little control over that, if any. Even with these raises that we are giving to our employees, we did see that there are issues with the private pay sector, making it a little too expensive for us to competitively bring employees into the town public sector. We applaud our department's efforts to increase productivity while keeping head count steady. Can't help but noticing across most departments, software is costing more, as is for the IT department, cybersecurity. Everything at the on the capital budget is increasing with inflation. We thank all of the departments for working with us on this review. Town Services voted 12-0-0 on the 13 budget items before us, not on the entire budget. We did also vote on item 4, 12-0-0.
Thank you. Kip Burgweiler, Chair of our Legislative and Rules Committee.
Madam Moderator, fellow members and guests, the Legislative and Rules Committee met Monday night at 7:30 p.m. We are called to order at 7:39. Our guests were Barbara Schellenberg, the town attorney, Kate Bush, the town administrator, Leslie Tarkenton, the BET Budget and Law Committees, Stephen Selps, BET Law Committee, Sergeant James Smith, Greenwich Police Department, and Janet Lockton, a resident and former member of the state legislature. We had all the districts were present except 3 and 10. They were absent. We voted 10-0-0 on items 4 and 5. We had only 2 budgets to look at for item 3, the law department, which we went over in March, which had no particular issues, and the probate court, which went up 1.4%, and I think it was because they had an additional $700 to the budget. So we also had some committee members who had attended other budget committee meetings, and they had no comments. Our real problem was not with the budget itself, but with the resolution. Paragraph 30 of the resolution. I'll give you a little bit of a background. The town adopted an ordinance authorizing the installation and implementation of automatic traffic enforcement safety devices and entered into a contract with the vendor Blue Line Solutions. Blue Line has collected about $19,000 in the first month of its contract and about $420,000 in fines in March. The funds are in an account. Town Attorney Barbara Schellenberg explained that funds in an account must be appropriated in order to be withdrawn. If the appropriation is not in a resolution, the town would need to go to the BET and the RTM every time it wished to withdraw some of those funds. Paragraph 30 was intended to provide the appropriation that would enable the town to access those funds. However, L&R committee members were advised by various people that the resolution may be invalid because the town had not compiled with certain requirements of state law. The state law requires the town, if adopting this kind of ordinance, to prepare a comprehensive safety plan, conduct a public hearing regarding the safety plan, and by vote of the Board of Selectmen, adopt the safety plan. The town is then required to submit the plan to the Department of Transportation for its approval. The safety plan must ensure that the town's streets safely and conveniently serve road users of all ages and capabilities. Kate Bush, the town administrator, explained that the town did not comply with the Act's requirements to hold a hearing on the safety plan. Blue Line, the town, and the Connecticut Department of Transportation all failed to hold the required public hearing. Fortunately, the safety plan will come before us next month. But this particular resolution did not accommodate that. We discussed potential legal issues, including whether the program is currently suspended due to lack of proper public hearing. Do we face the risk of a potential class action suit if the program is deemed invalid? And would the town need to refund money if the program is invalidated? Paragraph 30 as written does not accommodate or deal with these issues. So we voted to amend paragraph 30 to address these issues. including references to a specific vendor and an executed contract, accommodating a possible contract revisions, and adding compliance language for town contracts, ordinances, ordinances, and purchasing policies. The vote on amending paragraph 30 was 9-1-0, with District 12 voted no, believing that the language was already covered in the contract and additional text was unnecessary. We then voted on the entire amendment, or the entire budget as amended by this. District 12 voted no, concerned about de facto approval to spend funds because before larger questions are resolved. And District 9 vote abstain, wanting more information about potential cuts. Madam Moderator, I will make a motion to amend paragraph 30 when it is appropriate.
Thank you. Kathy Steele, Chair of our Health and Human Services Committee.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, RTM members and guests. Tonight I will report on 5 budgets that the Health and Human Services Committee reviewed at our March and May meetings. First, HHS met with Demetria Nelson, Commissioner of the Department of Human Services. DHS is requesting a budget of $4.4 million, which is a 2.53% increase. This increase is largely driven by contractual salary obligations and rising operational costs. Key drivers include higher transportation and fuel costs, food and supply costs for youth programs, as well as higher costs for case management software and creation of a new Fair Rent Commission marketing video. Notably, there are an additional $491,000 and change in opioid settlement funds coming to Greenwich, and all COVID-related ARPA funds will be deleted by year-end. With a relatively small budget, DHS served over 4,200 residents for nearly 1,900 households last year. The Fair Rent Commission has handled 13 cases already this year, and rent assistance support has increased by 120%. Our vote on that budget was 12-0-0. Secondly, HHS met with Patty Bykowski, Commission on Aging Administrator, and Conrad Levy, Board Chair. For fiscal 27, the Commission is requesting a budget of $1,099,498, which represents a 0.66% increase. This very modest increase is driven primarily by contractual salary adjustments and expenses related to the Wallace Center renovation, which will require reallocation of both staff and programs for 1 year. Key priorities for the Commission include the Wallace Center renovations, expansion of creative arts programming, continued growth of technology initiatives, and Share the Fair transportation support. The budget also supports outreach and marketing efforts to increase membership and participation. The Wallace Center's temporary closure will directly impact several line items. The food budget decreases with closure of the cafe, but there is new spending for professional moving services and storage rental, as well as communication and marketing related to the relocation of programming from 299 Greenwich Avenue to the civic centers in the eastern and western parts of town. Our vote on this budget was 12-0-0. Thirdly, HHS met with Caroline Baisley, the Health Department Director, and Deb Evans, the Department Administrator. The department is requesting a budget of $2,770,820, which is an increase of 1.23%. The budget is largely driven by contractual salary increases of 2.5%, and salaries make up between 75% and 90% of each division's budget. By division, the administration budget is increasing by 4.7%, the family health budget is increasing by 2.35%, and the special clinical services budget is increasing by 3.53%. These increases are all primarily due to contractual salary adjustments for full and part-time staff, as well as part-time salaries of a new clerical assistant and a temporary risk reduction counselor. Despite these increases in contractual salaries, the laboratory and the environmental services divisions are both slightly down at 1% and 1.85% respectively, due to replacement of full-time and part-time staff with new hires at lower salary levels. Within environmental services, there also were increases of just over $1,500 due to an annual rate increase for larvicide and $1,400 for rental of a coin-operated copy machine. Looking forward, the director cites key issues as the use of artificial intelligence for disease surveillance and misinformation control, the continued threat of COVID and new subvariants, and the threat of measles. Our vote was 12-0-0. Fourth, GHS met with GEMS, the Greenwich Emergency Medical Services Executive Director, Tracy Scheidinger, and CFO, Tom Miserendino. GEMS is requesting a budget of $5,012,936, an increase of 2.83%. The increase is driven primarily by higher healthcare and employee benefit costs, particularly a 22.5% increase in healthcare expenses, along with salary adjustments needed to maintain the 24/7 ambulance coverage. Additional increases include workers' comp, insurance, equipment maintenance, and training supplies. Patient service revenue is projected to increase by 9.6%, reflecting continued demand for ambulance transport services. Training income is also projected to increase with expanded EMT and CPR programs. Unlike other town departments, the GEMS budget includes all employee benefits, insurance, and operating costs. And GEMS continues to utilize private fundraising to fully fund its capital expenses, which include ambulance and equipment replacement. Last year, GEMS responded to more than 606,000 calls and transported more than 4,500 patients, with 94% of the calls reached within 8 minutes. GEMS also provides public CPR, AED training, standby services for community events, and other emergency response supports. Our vote on that was 11-0-0, with District 1 absent. Last, and certainly not least, we met with the Nathaniel Witherell's John Mastronardi, Executive Director, and Kelly Nardone, Director of Financial Operations. Nathaniel Witherell is requesting $35,895,046 for its revolving fund, which reflects an overall increase of 2.2%. The facility is projecting $31.4 million in revenues, which is a decrease of $1.3 million, alongside $34.1 million in operating expenses, which is an increase of $1.2 million. The result is a projected overall operating loss of approximately $2.7 million before debt, which is $8.8 million, and capital costs, which are $240,000. The primary driver of this imbalance remains lower than target occupancy levels. The fiscal 27 average daily census is projected at 175, below the prior budget of 182. This budget is heavily labor-driven, with staffing representing the largest expense, with nursing alone accounting for about 38% of total operating costs. Strict daily staffing controls and zero-based scheduling are used to manage overtime expenses. Other cost centers are dietary services, maintenance, and housekeeping and laundry at 10%, 7%, and 4% respectively. Leadership is pursuing strategies to improve both census and reimbursements, such as expanding specialized care for heart failure, stroke care, hospice, and memory care. However, the facility continues to face structural financial pressure, and there are ongoing concerns about long-term financial sustainability. Nathaniel Witherell executives are meeting with the BET in July to report progress on ongoing course correction and capital budget planning. We closed with a philosophical conversation about the future of Nathaniel Witherell with BET representatives Harry Fisher and Stephen Selbst. Both gentlemen agreed that despite management's best effort to generate positive results, there is decreasing tolerance. May I finish this last?
You may.
3 sentences?
Yeah.
Decreasing tolerance for continued loss. We discussed nursing home industry challenges, such as the need to be profitable while also providing quality care. And we discussed how the deed of the gift, which requires the property to be used for the benefit of residents and healthcare, complicates the situation. All agreed that while this is not a business Greenwich necessarily would choose to be in, we have to manage it as best we can while we have the responsibility to do so. Our vote there was 12-0-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. And our final committee report will be from Jan Niffen of Transportation Committee.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Madam Moderator. Since the
Hang on for a second. Mr. Carlson, it's very rude. If you have something to say, go outside, but do not interrupt. Thank you, Mr. Niffen. Can you start his time again, Dan?
Oh, I won't need it. Since the most capable secretary the committee's ever had to be absent this last time, I used ChatGPT AI in order to do the minutes. It had a great deal more to say than I have to say. So this is my version. On item 3, the budget, we passed it 12-0, or we voted in favor 12-0-0. On item 4, the bonding, We voted in favor, 12-0-0. We had an amendment to reduce the Hamel Rink appropriation by $38,500,000. That failed to 10-0. I should add that Joe Kelly, Doug Fenton, BET members attended our meeting, and Doug did a masterful job of leading us through a lot of the budget questions. In addition, we had Jim Michael from DPW and Steph Cowie from the Hamel Task Force. And there was a robust discussion that went on actually on the budget for an hour and 15 minutes and about 40 minutes on the Hamel Rink. There was also a lengthy discussion of the history of the Hamel Rink and the siting and the proposed funding, et cetera. The committee then moved on to presentations by members of the various items in the budget that we review for the Transportation Committee annually. That's GEMS, Parking Services, TAG, DPW Highway Traffic Division, GPS Transportation, and the Town Fleet Department. You've already heard all of that you want to know, because we had no significant concerns raised about any department budgets by either the members of the committee that reviewed the budget with those organizations, or the committee members in attendance at the May 5th Transportation Committee meeting, or by the department of the representatives that we interviewed. So since no one had any concerns, we determined that all was good with the departments we were looking at. As I mentioned, there was an amendment to reduce the funding that went down to 10-0. And as I mentioned, after the presentations and everything we had on the discussions, the votes were 12-0-0 and 12-0-0 on both the budget and the item to approve, or to approve item 4. So that's my report. It's short and sweet, but we were very happy with the presentations we got of how the budget process went. We talked about the philosophy of funding the capital budgets. We talked about the operating budgets and how they were developed. And all of that was very good fodder for the people who had never been on the RTM before that were sitting in our committee, and also great for those of us who had a long history on the Transportation Committee, because there's a lot to learn about the budget when they go through it with you, as we all know. So I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in it. I'm thrilled the BET turned out a 12-0-0 budget, and I'm happy that my committee supported it 12-0-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've heard all the committee reports. Now we turn to the operative document you'll want to follow along. I'm going to start reading major object code by major object code. As I said, I know where I believe the motions are coming from, but if you intend to offer something from the floor, you need to get my attention. Once we go past the number, we don't go back. Okay, I'm going to start now. General Government, 101, Representative Town Meeting, 102, Ethics, 103, Historical District Commission, 104, Emergency Operations, 105, Office of the First Selectman, 106, Purchasing, 107, Administrative Services, 109, Human Services, 111, Probate Court, 120, Registrar of Voters, 130, Finance, 134, Information Technology, 135, Assessor, 136, Board of Assessment and Appeals, 139, Tax Collector, 140, Law, 150, Town Clerk, 161, Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, 170, Condemnation Commission, 171, Planning and Zoning Commission, 172, Conservation Commission, 173, Inland Wetlands and Watercourses, one word, 174, Land Use Administration, 195, Commission on Aging. Now we're in the Fire Department. 201, Fire Administration, 202, Fire Training, 204, Fire Marshal, 205, Firefighting Force, 206, Fire Apparatus and Equipment, 207, Fire Department Buildings, 208, Volunteers. Now we go to Police Department, 211, Police Administration, 212, Police Dispatch and Communications, 213, Police General Services, 216, Police Criminal Investigation, 217, Police Uniform Patrol. Now we're in DPW, 301, DPW Administration, 302, DPW Engineering, 312, Highways, Streets and Bridges, 315, Highways, BOE Maintenance, 321 is Waste Disposal, 345, Building Construction and Maintenance, 351, Building Inspection, Vehicle Maintenance, 380 Fleet, Health Department, 401 Health Administration, 405 Health Environmental, 410 Health Special Clinical Services, 415 Health Family Health, 425 Laboratory. External entities, 440 external entities. Human Services, 501 Human Services Administration, 502 Human Services Adult and Family Services, 509 Human Services Aging Homemaker Only Services. Schools, 600 BOE Administration, 620 BOE Instruction, 640 BOE Plant Operations, 650 BOE Plant Maintenance, 660 BOE Pupil Transportation, 675 BOE Student Activities. Libraries, 701 Greenwich Library, 702 Peterson Wing, 710 Perrott Library. Parks and Rec, 801 Parks and Rec Administration, 811 Parks and Rec Recreation Supervision, 812 Recreation, Organizational Recreation, I don't know what that is. 814 Cohen Eastern Civic Center, 815 Community Centers, 816 Skating Rink, 817 Western Civic Center, 821 Parks and Trees Administration, 822 Parks and Trees, Parks, Playgrounds and Fields, 825 Parks and Trees Equipment Maintenance, 829 Parks and Trees Trees, 831 Marine Supervision, 832 Marine Maintenance, 833 Marine Beaches, 834 Marine Harbors and Boating Facilities. Now we move to fixed charges. 901 Employee Benefits, 902 Unemployment and Workers' Compensation, 908 Insurance. I think 911 Taxes for Town Properties, 950 Repayment of Old Debt Principal, 999 Transfer to Other Funds. Now we are in capital. It's page 11. 134 Information Technologies, 172 Conservation Commission, 206 Fire Apparatus, 213 Police General Services, 302 Engineering Division, 312 DPW Highways, Streets and Bridges, 315 DPW BOE projects done by DPW, 321 DPW Waste Disposal Division, 345, this is where we're going to stop, DPW Building Construction and Maintenance. We are first going to take up 956-27338 Hamel Rink Facilities Improvements. Before we do that, we are all going to have a little lesson on debate. This is going to be handled with decorum. Their emotions are high, their passions on both sides. You will debate respectfully. Robert's Rules makes it super, super clear. You cannot ascribe any motivations of a speaker. You can't call someone a liar. You can't call someone deceitful. You can't say that they were trying to torpedo a project. You cannot accuse anyone of anything. You can debate the idea. You cannot debate the motivations of a speaker. There's going to be no yelling, no heckling, nothing. We are going to be a model of civic and good government and show people what the third largest legislative body in the country can do politely and respectfully. With all of that, we are now going to entertain the motion that is being offered by both District 9 and 10 to reduce. They're offering the same motion. I reached out to the chairs. I said, give us one report synthesizing the sentiments of both. They identified the speaker that they want, which is going to be John Hopley, who's a member of 10, who will be speaking for both of their respective districts. Jim Michael, who is the commissioner, will be going last in the speaker. So normally I have proponent and opponent. The department head at the May budget meeting always goes last. So they have the benefit of hearing what the previous speakers have all said and responding to it. So the first person that is going to introduce the resolution will be Mr. Hopley. We will then get that 5-minute report from him, and then we'll go through our speakers, and then the very last speaker will be Jim Michael. Okay, so where's Mr. Hopley? Mr. Hopley, the floor is yours. You're just going to introduce it and then I'll take it from there.
Hello. Thank you, Madam Moderator. I appreciate that. And welcome to fellow RTM members, distinguished guests. Fred Camillo, if you're still here, First Selectman, thank you for all your great work. Districts 9 and 10 are proposing a joint motion to reduce the appropriation for account 345 DPW Building Construction and Maintenance, subaccount 956-27338 Hamel Rink Facility Improvements from 41.2 million to 2.7 million, with a remaining appropriation of 2.7 million to be used solely for architectural engineering and final design services.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Moderator.
don't go anywhere. That motion being offered on behalf of 2 districts does not require a second and is now before us. Mr. Hobley, do you intend to give your report now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Moderator.
You have 5 minutes. Put that on.
I hope to be significantly less. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to change it to 5 though. Great, thanks. You're all set.
go.
Yeah.
There are several reasons why we are considering this motion tonight, and I'd like to present each one of those. First, the RTM charter responsibility. The $41.2 million appropriation request lessens the RTM of its oversight authority for this project. The RTM serves as the town's final legislative authority in the budget process. Appropriating both final design and construction funding simultaneously would substantially limit the RTM's future ability, we believe, to evaluate the project based on completed engineering, validated costs, and finalized scope designs. Thus, separating final design from construction authorization preserves the RTM's traditional review and oversight function. The $41.2 million appropriation before us represents a significant deviation from the manner in which the RTM has traditionally approved funding for large municipal projects and would create a negative precedent for how appropriation requests will come before the RTM in the future. Number 2, preliminary nature of the current cost estimate, significant expectation of subsequent interim funding requests. The proposed $41.2 million appropriation is based on a plan that has not yet undergone completed engineering, independent cost validation, and competitive bidding. In other words, the town is asking the RTM to appropriate full funding for a project that remains in the conceptual stage based on cost estimates. Public statements made during the review process have suggested that the total project cost could materially exceed the current estimate, or maybe not, which will certainly lead to additional funding requests on top of the $41.2 million. Should the $41.2 million be appropriated at that stage, the RTM will have no further oversight over this project until the town comes back to the RTM seeking additional appropriations. Number 3, prior RTM vote and expanded scope. In January 2025, the RTM voted against the prior Straza Field Flip proposal by a vote of 136 to 52 with 6 abstentions. The current proposal substantially expands the scope of the project, while many of the concerns raised during the prior review process remain unresolved. In addition, the estimated project cost has increased significantly from earlier public estimates, without completed engineering documentation explaining the increase. Number 4, major project elements remain insufficiently defined. This project is nowhere near the stage at which the RTM is usually asked to appropriate construction funding. Significant project elements remain insufficiently defined, engineered, or independently priced, including a new roadway through the park, a parking area adjacent to Veteran Memorial Grove, a geothermal system potentially requiring approximately 100 wells, retaining walls and substantial site regrading, approximately 11,500 cubic yards of fill adding 8 feet of fill to the site, traffic and pedestrian safety impacts, design concerns for a new baseball field, Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental analysis, and removal and replacement of mature trees. These issues should be evaluated through the final design process before construction funding is authorized. Number 5, special revenue fund structure remains undefined. A special revenue fund structure has been discussed for portions of the project. However, the operational details, funding assumptions, governance structure, and long-term feasibility have not yet been fully presented or evaluated. Number 6, private funding discussions remain preliminary. Discussions regarding potential private funding are preliminary, and no formal fundraising plan, pledge contributions, or donor commitments have yet been publicly presented. Number 7, escalation in A&E and design costs. The proposed $2.7 million allocation for final A&E and design work significantly exceeds the currently disclosed $885,000 SLAM contract amount, possibly suggesting that substantial additional scope, contingency, and project requirements remain undefined at this stage. Number 8, consistency with established capital budgeting practices. As stated, separating design authorization from construction authorization is consistent with both current and historical town capital budgeting practices. Multiple fiscal year 27 capital projects follow this phased approach, allowing the RTM to evaluate construction appropriations after engineering and cost validation are completed. The town has asked the RTM to deviate from the norm without a reasonable explanation as to the benefits for doing so. And number 9, preservation of an informed future construction vote. This amendment does not reject the construction of a new rink. Its purpose is to ensure that any future construction authorization is based on completed engineering, validated costs, environmental review, and fully developed project scope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd also like to thank the RTM, all the committees, and the town for the great work that they did for this year's budget.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
thank you. Okay, now we're going to open it up to debate. I'm going to call people. The debate is, you have a few more people who are speaking opposed to this motion. So you might have, I try and go pro, con, pro, con. You might have interleaved 2 cons and a pro. Don't send me an angry email saying you called more people. There are just more people that are speaking on one side and we have to get through them all. I will ignore that email. Okay, so you are likely going to hear 2 people say that they oppose it before you hear somebody who supports it. And I ran it through AI, so this is what they've given me. Okay, so, and I'll call the next person and you can just come to the side so that it moves efficiently. So Monica Perhoda, to be followed by Steph Cowie. Is Monica Perhoda here? Oh, okay. Ms. Perhoda?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Madam Moderator, good evening, and all members of the RTM. I vote that we should, as Fred Camillo, our first selectman, said, 51 years in the making, the costs have only increased. They will only continue to increase. And I urge everybody to pass this, not the resolution, but for the rink, to get the rink built. Thank you.
Can we also get a timer up? 2 minutes. Steph Cowie, to be followed by Dan Izzo, who is online, although I'm not 100% sure if he still is seeking to speak.
Sorry, just going up again because I really will be way too low and I can't see over them. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and guests and RTM members. I'm Steph Cowie. I'm a member of the Hammering Task Force, RTM D8, and in the ADA committee. I would like to thank all the RTM committee members, the chairs who did such a wonderful job in reports, so I won't say anything more than I don't have to. I am in opposition to any reduction to funding for the rink, new rink and Morlock Park enhancements. We respectfully ask for full funding tonight with no cuts to this important investment in our community. For many in Byram and across Greenwich, this project is about far more than a rink. It is about finally delivering a safe, modern gathering place for children, families, veterans, athletes, and residents of all abilities. It's about showing that every part of town matters and deserves an investment. This request does not diminish our role. In fact, it is because of the RTM that this project has successfully moved through the town process a second time. The Hammering Task Force listened carefully to the RTM committee chairs, P&Z, stakeholders, neighbors, and residents to understand the needs. The message was clear. The community wanted a more transparent, collaborative, and fiscally responsible process, and that is exactly what was delivered. You asked for transparency, collaboration, updated cost estimates, and a complete site design, and the project returned with unanimous support from Board of Selectmen, BET, and Planning and Zoning. This project reflects years of hard work and public comment. It is, the right scope and right time. There can be no more delay. I respectfully ask for you to reject any proposed reduction and approve the full funding request of $41.2 million for the new rink and Morlot Park enhancement project. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, Dan Izzo has opted to pass. Alex Pop is next, to be followed by Eliza Cornelius. I'll just call people. So it's going to be Alex Pop, Eliza Cornelius, and Ryle Ullman if he's here. I think that's Javier's son. So just queue up if you're here.
Thank you. I'm Alex Pop. I'm from Byram, District 4. And I'm a hockey dad. My daughter played for, I think, 6 teams: Panthers, Blues, Wings, Hawks, Cardinals. And I am up here to support the motion. Please note that this motion is not about the site plan. It's not about the work of the task force. It's not about the removal of trees or the traffic or the hockey teams or the number of emails sent to us. In fact, it's not even about the rink. This motion is about good governance, protecting the taxpayers and preserving the RTM's oversight. It's about adhering to the principles of the town charter. It's about following common sense standard practices. And I'll give you a little example of my house. A few years ago, my wife and I renovated our home and we placed a new addition. We worked with an architect, made a few revisions, and we paid him for the blueprints. I took the blueprints and I gave them to the builder. I asked the builder to give me a cost estimate. I didn't tell him what the budget was. You never know, he might have inflated the cost. And a few days later, I had the plans. In a way, the current rink plan deviates from this standard sequence. It charts a rudderless course. Simplified, the DPW is providing a non-conforming sketch prepared in 2024 and handing it to the builder. But the town is also handing over a blank check signed by the town, and the dollar amount is left blank. It's up to the builder to determine the amount they want to be paid. An interim appropriation is a prudent course of action later in the year. It's good governance. It will protect the taxpayers. And I'm confident that if this is a good plan, an interim appropriation would easily pass this administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Eliza Cornelius, to be followed by Ryan Ullman. To be followed by Peter Berg after Ryan.
Dear members of the RTM, my name is Eliza, and I'm here speaking on behalf of 2 of my siblings who couldn't be here tonight because they're at hockey practice in another town as the current Dorothy Hamill rink cannot support year-round ice. Hockey is a huge part of our family's life, between practices, games, learn to skate, and hockey tournaments, and just spending time at the rink with teammates and friends. Hamill is like a second home to many families in Greenwich, including mine. That's why I'm asking you to please vote to approve the Hamill Rink project budget as presented, including the full construction funding and to keep its municipal improvement status. Over the past year, the town has asked for a better and more transparent process for major projects like this. From everything my family and I have followed, that's exactly what's happened here. The Hamill Rink Task Force spent months reviewing options, looking at different ideas and locations, listening to the community, and working through the details before making its recommendation. And after all that work, the project has continued to receive overwhelming support from the boards and groups that reviewed it. At some point, a project has to move forward. If construction funding gets cut now, or if more conditions and delays are added, it's only going to make the project more expensive and push everything back. The longer this takes, the longer youth players, families, and the community are stuck with a rink everyone already knows is old and past its useful life. Year-round ice is really important for growing youth programs and giving kids opportunities to stay active and involved. It supports hockey, figure skating, public skating, and learn to skate programs for families across Greenwich. It also gives kids a positive and productive place to go, something healthy to be a part of, and a community that keeps us active, connected, and out of trouble. For a lot of us, the rink is more than just a building. It's where we're growing up. This project has been studied, reviewed, supported, and moved through the proper process. It's ready. Please approve the budget as presented and allow the project to move forward. Thank you for your time and listening.
Ryan Almond to be followed by Peter Berg.
Good evening, members of the RTM. My name is Ryan Alleman, and when I first found out I might be able to stay up late tonight, I didn't exactly really picture myself giving a speech to the RTM. But now that I'm here, there's no place I'd rather be than talk to you before such an important vote. I played hockey with the Greenwich Cardinals as a goalie, and the rink gave me an opportunity to play hockey and skate. But I think this rink is getting really old. The location is good, and so many people play there. The flip idea is perfect because it keeps the rink going until the new one's ready. And the problem with the Dorothy Hamill rink is that it only has 4 locker rooms, and playing there can be a mess. It's also starting to break down, and if the flip can't happen soon, I'm worried the rink will break down before the RTM has a plan at all. And if we lose all those people who play there, then there may not be Greenwich Cardinals hockey anymore. So many people love that rink in Byram, and I think the RTM should add that to the equation when thinking about the flip. And another nice thing would be to give the new rink 6 locker rooms so that it's suitable for what the programs need. A snack bar and a viewing deck would also be nice. The rink isn't only about skating, it's also where people make memories. Like, I watched the gold medal game of the Olympics in a small conference room there. I saw Jack Hughes score the overtime goal, and Connor Hellebuck make crazy saves. Even in a little room, it felt exciting because I was at the rink and with my friends. Please approve the money for the rink without making any cuts so kids like me can keep skating, playing hockey, and making memories there. Thank you.
Peter Berg to be followed by Javier Alman.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, RTM members, and guests. My name is Peter Berg. I served, follow the short guy. My name is Peter Berg. I served 22 years on the RTM. My first time at this lectern, however, was 33 years ago, long before my service on the RTM. I was here asking the RTM to approve an MI for the Cuscob Library. The RTM voted no. We could have come back the following year and tried again, just like the flip has come back to you, but instead, we purchased residential property on Suburban Avenue and built a new Cuscob Library back there. So you see, we found another way forward after the RTM declined MI, and probably a better way. Now I'm a co-author of one of the MI referrals that you will hear next month. An MI referral is not an appeal of an MI. An MI referral is not a rebuke of P&Z. Stay tuned. Many of you are sick and tired of this rink matter. You are ready to throw in the towel, but please stay tuned. The motion before you now is to separate A&E from construction. Separating A&E from construction is our standard operating procedure. A&E will inform you. For example, today, Western Junior Highway is a tree-lined boulevard. Would you object to a proposal to bulldoze that tree line and construct a 5-story building that will loom over the road and cast a shadow on the residential neighbors across the street? Well, in effect, that's what's proposed here, because the flip rink is 35 feet tall and Sal Strazza baseball field is 15 feet above Western Junior High School. Please vote yes. Separate A&E.
I'm willing to give the cute kid extra time, not so much. Okay, so off you go. Come on, you can come back next month. All right. Javier Almond to be followed by Seth Bacon, neither who will get extra time when they go over 2 minutes. So, yeah.
Good evening, members of the RTM.
I live in District 4, Byram, which will house the Hamel Rink and Morlaw Park improvement. I support keeping the capital item intact, including construction funding. I want to address the argument that approving this funding somehow gives away RTM authority. I do not agree with that framing. The RTM should defend its authority, but defending our authority does not mean requiring another vote simply to relitigate a project that stays within the amount we approve. This appropriation is not a blank check. If the project comes back over budget, as you've heard many insinuations that it would, the town cannot simply spend more money. Additional funding would have to come back through the proper process, and the RTM would have another vote. So our authority over cost increases is preserved. What A&E only does is something different. It creates another opportunity to stop the project even if the project stays within budget and satisfies the required conditions. Some have even argued that A&E only keeps alternate sites and alternate plans open. That is exactly the concern. A&E only is not simply about protecting against cost overruns. It is about preserving another opportunity to reopen fundamental project decisions. The context matters because many of the strongest voices arguing for A&E only also signed the MI referral, which would stop the current approval path and prevent the current plan from advancing as presented. It also matters that District 4, Byram, the district most directly affected, considered this exact issue. A motion to reduce the item to A&E only and remove construction funding failed in our district by a vote of 5-10-0. District 4 does not decide this issue alone, but the position of the community most directly affected should carry weight. Construction funding also helps the town show contractors that this is a real funded project that can move forward. An appropriation is not a target price, it is a spending ceiling. This project has been studied, debated, revised, referred, and publicly discussed for years. I urge the RTM to keep Hamel Rink, keep the Hamel Rink capital item intact and allow this project to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Seth Bacon to be followed by Peter Cruikshank.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I won't go into the details of why this amendment will delay the rink project and cost the taxpayers more money. I think more people are going to make those points. I also want to talk about the assertion that a vote for full funding for the rink jeopardizes the role of the RTM. Let's talk about the role of the RTM. What is our job, right? Some say our job is to examine and pass the budget, vote on appropriations, review ordinances, and confirm appointments. That's not our job. That's a list of functions. Our job is much simpler. Our job is to listen. Listen objectively to the facts, committee reports, district discussions, and most importantly, listen to the people that we represent and then make informed decisions. So let's do our job. Let's listen. Let's listen to the selectmen who unanimously approved this. Let's listen to the first selectman who stood at this podium tonight asking to fund the rink. Let's listen to the BET who spent hundreds of hours on the budget and voted 12-0-0 in favor. Let's listen to the P&Z commissioners who reviewed this project at length and unanimously approved the plan. And guess who appointed them? We did. We appointed them. Let's listen to the DPW, the people we pay to manage these projects, who have told us the plan to sound and the budget accounts for contingencies. Let's listen to the task force who did the work twice and held over 30 public meetings on this topic. Let's listen to the multiple committees who reviewed this and rejected this proposed cut. Let's listen to District 4 who voted against this. But most importantly, let's listen to the residents, listen to the PTAs, the youth athletic organizations, not just the hockey ones. Let's listen to the kids. Let's listen to the people who have voiced their support consistently and clearly for this project. But we're having trouble listening right now because we have a small group stating that after all that work, all those people looking at this, all those hours, all that input, all that feedback by elected, appointed, and paid members of our government and from the community, that they know better. Discarding all this input and ignoring the voice of the community in the name of protecting the RTM is not good governance. And I will point out that last month I stood up here multiple times. I was the only one who stood up here. We made a charter change. That's our job. No one else stood up here and said, protect the integrity of the RTM. Please listen. Please do your job. Please reject this amendment.
Peter Cruikshank to be followed by Thomas Spada.
So I'm not going to, Madam Moderator, fellow RTM members, guests, I'm not going to repeat what Javier and Steph have said, but we are retaining our authority here, right? So this project is funded at $33.5 million. That's the budget for the project. There's an additional $5 million contingency, right? So there's a very good possibility that even with some inflation, some added improvements to the plan, it'll be done for less than 38.5. So by rejecting this amendment, we're preserving our right
to approve it. I just want to add a couple of points about who did this. So for instance, SLAM was awarded the project, and part of the RFP was SLAM had to have built hockey rinks before. They've built 4 in the last, since this project started, and many more before that. They have experience building hockey rinks. But they also partnered with a firm called B32. Look it up, B32. They are specialists in designing rinks and administering the construction costs. They have designed and worked on over 500 rinks nationally. So this estimate, in my opinion, is a great estimate. And it's one that we can feel very confident in voting and supporting for. The final thing, I want to thank Matt and the Hamel Rink Task Force. I think this is a model now for big town projects to put together a group of people who are very passionate about it, who engage the community. And we're also going to have another committee that Fred is going to appoint. Oh, good. We have another committee that Fred's going to appoint to kind of give oversight to this whole project and to continue to give the town feedback from the community. Please vote no on this amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Thomas Feda to be followed by Donna Gaudioso-Zeal. Is Thomas Feda here? Is he online? Okay, and leave the 2-minute thing up.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, everyone. I think everyone needs to come together and put their egos aside. I think everyone agrees that the hockey rink is needed. Look at Notre Dame West Haven. Has anybody been to the West Haven rink? Notre Dame West Haven, a private school, built their own locker room outside West Haven rink. And a town like Greenwich and the people can't even come together to vote on a hockey rink. It's embarrassing, disappointing, and unacceptable. So everyone needs to put their egos aside, come together, and vote to build the hockey rink. Thank you.
You did not hear a speech about making snide comments about people with their egos, but I'll let that go since you're online and I can't get to you now. So Donna Gaudioso-Zeal to be followed by Colette Francis-Cheney.
Hi, my name is Donna Gaudioso-Zeal and I'm from District 9. And I disagree with my District 9 and District 10. I think basically our job is the budget. We have that's our financial roadmap to manage our money and make sure the funds are there. Okay. This project has been on the radar for years. I've been on the RTM for years and it keeps coming up. We asked them to develop a task force. They did. This task force came back with the best recommendations for us and we're ignoring them. SLAM, architectural company, I have worked with them previously, not on rinks, in healthcare 3 times. Very reliable. So I think the budget is on the mark. I think withdrawal of the funds is going to result in a special, people said they can come back. We'll do a special allocation for $30 million. Or are we going to wait to the next budget? Tonight, we bond our things, and this is why we do a budget, so we can project what we need going forward this year. The last thing, as Seth said, you have heard, we are elected by our neighbors. We are their voices. They have been very clear about what they want. Don't quiet these voices. And lastly, give our Greenwich skaters the arena they deserve. It's long overdue. My children skated on that rink 30 years ago, and it needed to be renovated then. Please vote no.
Okay. Colette Francis-Cheney to be followed by Phil Dodson. Is she online maybe, Craig? No? All right. If there's somebody online named Colette Francis-Cheney, raise your hands. No. All right. Phil Dodson to be followed by Tracy Friedman.
Good evening, everyone. Construction costs for the Hamel Rink and Merlot Park alterations are expected by many of us to run higher than the current $38.5 million estimate. higher than expected costs for other recent projects supports this concern. A potential geothermal system that would add a 10 million cost has not been ruled out, but is conveniently not in the estimate. That seems reason enough not to approve any construction funding until we have a definite answer to that and other questions. 2.7 million is the amount required to complete the A&E design phase and should be all that is provided. Providing construction funds before the A&E design is completed or the final site plan approved is a questionable practice. This has not received final site plan approval. The RTM should not be funding more than is necessary to complete each project phase in the usual order of MI approval, A&E design, and then final construction funding. Approving construction funding before it is required gives the BET control over the funds. The RTM role is reduced to approving the cost overruns when it is too late to do anything else. Whether this is being done intentionally or not, I will leave you to decide. RTM members should never cede any of our authority or ability to oversee and approve funding for each funding phase. If we do so, we have no one to blame but ourselves. There is an argument that not advancing the construction funds will affect contributions or fundraising ability. This should not be a basis or reason to rush into fully funding any project. All town projects should be funded by assuming it will be 100% taxpayer funded. Approving this motion fully funds the 2.7 million required to complete the next A&E phase and allows the Hamel Rink project to move forward. It does not stop it. I ask that you support and vote in favor of this motion.
Tracy Friedman to be followed by Jonathan Cantor.
Good evening, Madam Moderator. Wait, can you hear me? Good evening, Madam Moderator, fellow RTM members and guests. I'm Tracy Friedman. I serve on the RTM Parks and Recreation Committee and the Board of Parks and Recreation, and D11 member. To me, this vote is about balancing our responsibility for oversight with our responsibility to allow a well-vetted project to move forward. 16 months ago, the RTM asked the town to go back and do more work. That it did. At this stage, I do not believe additional RTM review would meaningfully change the outcome. Moving ahead with full funding is most sensible and cost-effective path. Many of the remaining questions, especially around final cost, can best be answered through the bidding process itself. After years of analysis, refinement, and public input, I believe the task force identified the right plan. This project is further along than most at this stage, with construction documents expected to be ready for bidding by January. That timing matters. The project cannot move into bidding without full funding in place. If construction costs exceed the amount already approved, this project will come back to the RTM, and that is when our oversight makes sense. Oversight does not end with this vote. There are still conditions established by the BET and Planning and Zoning. I do not see this as establishing a new precedent for capital projects. I see it as recognizing that in this particular case, we need to tip the balance towards efficiency over additional oversight. Continue to delay could create more process, more uncertainty, and higher cost without improving the outcome. I believe approving full funding is a responsible path while still preserving RTM oversight at the appropriate time. This is good governance. I hope you will join me in voting no on the motion to reduce funding for the Dorothy Hamel Rink. Thank you.
Jonathan Cantor to be followed by Mark Fichtel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the RTM, Madam Moderator. Just wanted to let you know that District 12 took up the D9-10 motion to cut funds for the new Hamel Rink, and District 12 voted 0 in favor of the cut, 20 against cutting those funds. So the message was clear that our district representatives in D12 believe the Hamel funding should remain in full listed as listed in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Fichtel to be followed by Scott Kalb.
I'm Mark Fichtel from District 4. I want to emphasize before I say anything that this amendment is not an effort to reduce or cut the spending. It is strictly to separate it, to separate the A&E from the construction spending. It will not cause any delays if the A&E comes back clean. I also want to emphasize that there are a number of issues that are still outstanding in terms of the cost being $41 million. I've attended a number of meetings over the last week where even the flip proponents have agreed that the number could be $50 million or more. So for us to go ahead and vote for the construction spending without that being clarified, as well as all the other questions surrounding the uncertainties that were enumerated earlier, is a little worrisome. I'm also very concerned over the fact that people keep saying there's overwhelming support for this. I would note for you that the Byram Neighborhood Association, which has 350 members, had a poll last summer where 164 of them voted, and 72% of them voted against the flip or to put the rink somewhere else. So there is not overwhelming support that you keep hearing. And the number of people who have sent in emails that are in favor of the flip represent less than 1% of the population of Greenwich. And so our decision here today is important for more than just the people who have sent those in. And I would just say that I do believe that by voting for the construction spending and the A&E all in one place would be, would have the RTM.
Time. Okay, Scott Cowell to be followed by John Calandranis.
Madam Moderator, my fellow colleagues on the RTM, good evening. I rise in support of the Hamel Ring proposal. I urge you not to support this proposed cut. It's time to move forward on this rink. It has widespread support, despite my colleagues' previous comments, among our townspeople, including the neighborhood community in Byram. This was proved by the association in recent polling, not from last year. It's an urgent item. The current rink is over 50 years old. It's in very bad shape. Our constituents have been waiting a long time for a new rink. It's time for us to deliver already. This is our job. Respect the will of the town. Get the job done. The rink project has been thoroughly vetted over an 8-year period. The task force, which included our colleagues from the RTM, the BET, the First Selectman's Office, ADA Advisory and Advocacy, the Byram Neighborhood Association, the Energy Management Advisory Committee, the Veterans Association. They ran a great process. It was diligent. It was highly transparent. They received inputs from experts from all town departments and commissions. They held open meetings, public hearings, carefully weighed 18 alternative sites before landing on the current design. All of their work has been published online. It's open for your inspection. The plan was also approved on a unanimous and bipartisan basis by the BET, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Selectmen. Regarding costs, the current estimate is reasonable and accurate in my view. Further delays will only increase costs for the town. It's also worth noting there are many checks and balances in place. Funding will not be released until a business plan is presented and accepted, including a 12-month financial model. Final site plan approval by P&Z is required. A fundraising strategy must be presented and accepted. I urge you.
All right. John Calandranis is online. Okay. To be followed by Florence Nalepka.
Hi, I'm here. Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
My name is Jana Calandranis. I'm a Byram District 4 resident, a new Lebanon parent, and a current skating and hockey parent. I got involved in this project because I kept hearing the phrase, Byram really doesn't want this rink. Honestly, I was stunned, and my immediate thought was, who exactly are they asking? because the many families I know, the ones raising children here, coaching teams, using these facilities, and relying on these programs every week, overwhelmingly want and need this rink and this project move forward. I've never spoken at one of these meetings before in the RTM. Most families like ours have not spent years attending meetings and commenting online. We're busy working, raising our kids, and getting them to the very programs this project supports. But we are here now because this vote matters. Hamel Rink has been part of the fabric of Byram for generations, and Morlow Park is long overdue for meaningful investment. This project finally modernizes aging infrastructure, creates regulation-size baseball field, improves accessibility, and delivers recreational facilities our community can actually use and be proud of. Most importantly, this plan keeps skating and hockey programs running during construction. Losing the rink for years would force many local children out of these programs entirely. This project's already gone through years of public process, task force review, site evaluations, public input, approvals. The work has been done. The questions have been asked and answered. And most importantly, executive boards of New Lebanon School, Hamilton Avenue School, Western Middle School, and Bank Raiders formally support this plan because it reflects the needs of families who actually use these facilities every day. The continued attempts by a small but vocal opposition group to reopen settled debates and delay this project are not productive, and delay has a real cost paid by the children and families who have already waited long enough. Please move forward tonight. Move this thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Florence Nalepka, to be followed by Lucy Von Brockel. She online, Craig? Okay. If you have the microphone. Ms. Nalepka?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, Madam Moderator, members of the RTM. My name is Florence Nalepka, a Byram resident, a mother of 5 children, 4 of whom which play for the Greenwich Cardinals and use Hamel Rink quite often. I respectfully urge the RTM to approve the original budget and build our rink. This is not simply an expense, it's an investment in our community, our families, and most importantly, our children. The decisions we make today will shape the quality of life, opportunities, and future we provide for generations to come. The time is now to take action and build the state-of-the-art rink and baseball field and park that our community, children, and families deserve. Please approve the original budget. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Lucy Von Brockel, to be followed by Jill Ernst.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Moderator, fellow RTM members and guests. My name is Lucy Von Brockel. I'm the chair of District 4 in Byram. Next month, we'll debate the merits of the new site plan for Morlock Park. Tonight, we're deciding whether to relinquish some of our control over the future of the project. I support the $2.7 million A&E appropriation. My concern is with bundling in $38.5 million in construction before the design work is done and we fully understand the cost. Here's why that matters to me personally, someone from Byram. The vast majority of Byram residents haven't seen this new design and don't know how it'll change our neighborhood. If costs run over, the project owners could revise the site plan to come in under budget, chipping away more green space, adjusting parking, maybe changing the footprint, getting rid of showers, who knows, without ever coming back to us. It would give me and them some comfort to know that the RTM has a voice in those decisions. The RTM has maintained oversight on major capital projects by appropriating in 3 stages: design funds to get through MI, remaining A&E to get through final site plan approval and go out to bid, and then construction. This is the first time we've been asked to abandon that. We're told that this is a unique situation. Every major project in town is unique. And we have another one where we're being asked to combine funding. Every major project takes forever. The only valid reasons to bundle construction and A&E are a genuine emergency or a grant deadline, and neither applies here. We're told we'll have oversight through an interim appropriation, but design elements can be cut to stay under budget without coming back to us at all. We're told it will smooth the tax levy, assuming the GHS pool in Riverside will be construction ready next year. But Riverside hasn't started the MI process and no building committee has been formed for GHS yet. We're told it will bolster donor confidence The MI vote next month is the real signal of public support, not whether we
Time.
followed a process. Thank you.
All right, Jill Ernst to be followed by Neil Rich. Okay, is Jill Ernst? Okay. Neil Rich. To be followed by Craig Chapman.
Not AI, I wrote it myself. My name is Neil Rich, and I'm making this statement freely as a resident and a member of the hockey community and no affiliation or representation of any organization or entity. Dorothy Hamill Ice Rink needs to be replaced because right now it's at the end of its useful life. Out of date, unwelcoming, and barely functional is just the beginning of how I would begin to describe Hamill Rink. In the 9 years I've been coaching in Greenwich, Hamill Rink has maintained its status quo, and so has the town's attitude towards it. One set of bathrooms operational 70% of the time and not accessible from the locker rooms. No showers, chipped paint, broken equipment, moldy walls and floors, and an overall unsafe space. Hamill Rink has fought hard to stay open and viable while crumbling at the seams. It is a snowball rolling downhill, collecting more problems than fixes. Its doors remain open in total due to the community that utilizes it, the children of Greenwich. While members of the community and those that vote on the subject talk about what this new rink will bring to those not looking to utilize the skating rink, playground, or baseball field, I ask you, how does it serve that part of the community now? The answer is overwhelmingly obvious. It mostly doesn't. Any updated areas would be far better and more welcoming than what stands now. Others have asked why Hamill Rink can't just be knocked down and rebuilt in the same exact spot instead of elsewhere in the park or renovated. These options close the rink with no option for alternative ice availability. And to those people, I say loud enough so they can hear me in the back, it will eliminate the programs at Hamill, the youth program, the high school program, the skating and hockey programs. If there is not an operational rink during construction, our programs will die. And on that note, no, there is not ice available elsewhere. Believe me, I've tried to find it. When you think Greenwich, Connecticut, what comes to mind is a destination, a place where it's safe to raise your kids, where they can ride bicycles to their local activities and enjoy them. Hamill Rink, as it stands now, feels like a back alley even I, as a 6 foot, 200-pound, 39-year-old hockey playing adult, would avoid. The children deserve a place they can call home and be proud of doing so. The plan recommended by the Hamill Rink Task Force and repeatedly and nearly unanimously approved by the subject matter experts in our local government.
Time. Thank you. All right, Craig Chapman to be followed by Joe Rothenberg. Yes, Mr. Dudakis. About 6. Mr. Chapman to be followed by Mr. Rothenberg.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Hi, fellow RTM members. I'm a DC8 member. You know, I'm so enthusiastic about this project and so happy about the enthusiasm that the community is showing. I think it's great. I'm glad the BET is getting along better this year and doing a good job in the process. I think that's fantastic. And I do support this project. I even support where it's located. I think it'll be a great addition to Byram, assuming it's done in the right way. The problem I have with approving construction funding at this point is that without an A&E, we really don't know what we're funding. We, as members of the RTM, represent the holders of the purse strings for the residents who we represent. And frankly, if we approve construction funding at this stage without a completed A&E, as we have heard, we don't really know what the project looks like, how much it's going to cost, and we won't have the ability at this point, particularly if it's under the budgeted amount, to have any comments at all on the results of the A&E process. For me, this is about governance. I think as an RTM body, we have to practice good governance. And I appreciate the enthusiasm for the project, but I think by approving the A&E budget, we will be showing the support for this project that the town deserves. And I think the town does deserve this project to be completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Rothenberg to be followed by Claire Kilgallen.
Hi, everyone. I'm a Greenwich resident, parent, a board member of Cardinals Youth Hockey. A year and a half ago, the effort to replace Hamill Rink stopped. In that moment, many in this room and across town called for a better process. RTM members and others laid out a clear roadmap: start fresh, evaluate all the options, engage the public, obtain professional opinions and studies and cost estimates, and build consensus around a thoughtful long-term plan. That's exactly what happened. The task force was formed and did the work. Their recommendation then moved through the Board of Selectmen, P&Z, and the BET, each step adding scrutiny, strengthening the plan, and ultimately approving it unanimously. At the same time, we had an election where one of the central issues was capital planning, moving away from the year-to-year start and stop approach of the past and toward a disciplined long-term process that helps projects like this actually get done. You know, someone tonight I heard called this plan a significant deviation, and someone else called the cut standard operating procedure. I agree. I think that's the point. This process was broken and it's been improved by all of you. So I want to say thank you to the task force, the Board of Selectmen, P&Z, the BET, and the RTM members who helped chart this new path forward and then executed it. This is exactly what this process was supposed to produce, a vetted, broadly supported plan that's ready to move forward. Cutting the budget now would run directly counter to all of that progress. It would delay the project, increase costs, and put us right back into the short-sighted cycle we all want to move beyond. Support for this project and for approving the full budget has come from across town, from all RTM districts, from PTAs at New Lebanon, Hamilton, and Western Middle School, from Bank Raiders football in Byram, from local baseball organizations and families who want to see Straza Field improved and made regulation size, Cardinals youth hockey, current and former GHS coaches, and from the players themselves, including the entire boys and girls varsity teams. I'm sure I'm leaving out other organizations and groups, and none of those groups, not a single one, which works on behalf of families.
Thank you. Claire Kilgallen to be followed by Ann Christoph, who I believe is on the phone. Is Claire Kilgallen here? Ms. Kilgallen?
Good evening. I'm Claire Kilgallen. I live in District 4, a few blocks from the park and rink, and I urge the RTM to vote against this motion to cut. There is widespread support. New Lebanon alone represents 388 children, and with parents, that's over 1,100 people. At the direction of this body, 16 months ago, this project was sent back to address open issues. The task force has done that in a thorough manner through dozens of meetings and multiple public hearings. This RTM has been kept informed throughout. DPW worked with the Byram Neighborhood Association representative to incorporate feedback to enhance Moorlet Park site elements. Additionally, in reviewing the preliminary site plan, the town planner and the P&Z has scrutinized and conditioned the plans to ensure a comprehensive and accessible park and rink site, which has green space regulations as well as landscaping ones. The final site plan yet to be developed will be a thorough process with even more public input. In unanimously advancing this appropriation to you, the BET put strong conditions on the funding. Your Finance and Budget Overview Committees have rejected this motion. The proposed budget includes hard and soft costs. Cutting the funds will lead to increased escalation costs. There is no blank check. This is subject to a sealed public bid process. Those who want to see private donations need to understand that donors of significant dollars donate to a project that's ready to move ahead, not one that's subject to callbacks. Let's finally move this park and ring project forward. I urge you to vote against this cut. Thank you.
Ann Christoph, who I believe is online, to be followed by Jim Rice. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Anne Marie Christoph. I'm speaking on behalf of my grandfather, Mike Christoph from Byram, and in support of the reduction. This was supposed to be a rink rebuild. Everyone agrees that we need a new rink. The task force identified Moorlet Park as the only possible location. What we don't understand is how that became a $30 million plus project to bulldoze and rebuild the entire park. This was never the original mission, and these plans were never vetted with the public or surrounding neighborhood. Byram is the most densely populated area in town. We are already overwhelmed by traffic from the overdevelopment in Portchester. Our streets cannot absorb more congestion regardless of where the entrance is placed. My grandpa was a Greenwich police officer for 30 years, and he knows the safety problems traffic creates. We have already seen serious accidents in the area, yet there have been no meaningful traffic or safety studies tied to the project. There are also serious concerns about moving the baseball field onto a parking lot that the town previously said would never be built on. The plan calls for trucking thousands of cubic yards of soil through narrow residential streets onto land that has still not been properly soil tested. The current field design also puts the Veterans Memorial Grove at risk from foul balls and constant foot traffic. This is not protecting the memorial, it's disrespecting it. Finally, Morlow Park is one of the few calm, safe spaces left in Byram for families, dogs, kids on bikes, and other folks who use it every day because it's peaceful and walkable. The rink is only one part of the park. The project was never supposed to become an oversized, over-budget redevelopment of the entire area. We urge the RTM at minimum to support the District's 9 and 10 motion to reduce, calling for a more responsible path forward, or reject the overall park rebuild proposal. Thank you.
Jim Rice, to be followed by our final speaker, Jim Michael, Commissioner of Public Works. Is Jim Rice here? No. Okay, Mr. Michael is our final speaker on the item.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. And all right, Madam Moderator and members of the RTM, thank you for this evening's opportunity to speak on this project. You've heard all the comments so far. Public Works wants to thank everybody who's been involved in this process. We listen to you. We read all the emails. We take into consideration all the comments. We are very dedicated to completing a project on time, on budget, and in a timely manner. This project has gone through significant years of discussion. We are working diligently to complete the project. Our design is intended to be completed by December of this year, going out to bid in January, and be under contract, hopefully for the start of the construction in March. That is the purpose in asking for the funding in the entire project. This is a process that is not necessarily always completed, but because of the number of years that we've been doing this project, that's the reason why we feel we can meet all those timeframes. The discussion has also come up on budget, and is this budget adequate? We, as the Public Works, based on our consultants, our experience with this project, we feel we have adequate budget to cover this project. In the event that we do not have adequate budget, that will come back before the BET and the RTM again. So to say that you will not have another chance to discuss this is an incorrect statement. That being said, I hope that you support keeping this entire project budget in tonight, and we move forward with this rink. And I'll see you next month.
Thank you. Okay. That concludes our debate on this motion to reduce. So we're going to move to a vote. Craig, can you please show the vote, or show the motion up there, and we'll read it. Okay, so this is the D10 or D9, D10 motion to reduce $38,500 from DPW. What did I say, thousand? Oh, yeah, sorry. 38,500,000 from DPW account 345-956-27338, the Hamel Rink. If you are in favor of that reduction, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. okay? And we'll just, no music. We'll just, yeah. We're not going to jinx it. Okay. Has everybody voted who wants to vote? Okay. What? Oh,
Yep. You open the app.
did you open the app?
You force
Okay. You have to force quit the app because the keypad will be locked out while you're on both simultaneously. Are you good? You vote? Okay. Has everyone voted now? Yes? Everyone's voted? All right, we're going to close the vote. Okay, I have the vote on the D10 or D9, D10 motion. Those in favor, 54. Opposed, 144, abstaining 5. That motion has failed. Craig, could you please show the vote? Okay, that brings us to the next motion, which is also in this same major object code, which is Roger Sherman Baldwin Park redevelopment. I believe this motion is coming from the Budget Overview Committee. Mr. James Waters, Chair of our Budget Overview Committee.
Okay. As I flagged in my committee report, the Budget Overview Committee voted 12-0-0 to reduce design funds for the Roger Sherman Baldwin Park redevelopment by $100,000. This amendment leaves $150,000 in the budget to allow
You
DPW.
have to offer the amendment, the motion first, and then do your report.
That sounds good.
Okay, good. Let's
Thank
do
you.
that. Okay.
So the motion is to reduce code number 983-27343 Roger Sherman Baldwin Park by $100,000.
Perfect. Okay, that coming on behalf of a committee does not require a second. Now you can do your little.
Thank you. This amendment leaves $150,000 in the budget to allow DPW to complete its analysis of the relocation of the Parks and Trees building, a required step before any other work on the park can proceed. The amendment also noted that broader planning, particularly regarding the Teen Center building and the Arch Street Task Force's work, should be completed first to ensure a cohesive redevelopment plan can be built. RTM members should note the scope of the project currently in the budget excludes the former Teen Center building. Members of the Arch Street Task Force advised BOC that a number of options are being considered to include renovating the building, building a new structure, or tearing the building down. BOC was told that the building does not have any historical protections and that public hearings are being planned. It seems unclear at this point what the use of that town-owned building would be if renovated. It is clear that a renovation would be quite expensive and would be treated as separate from any improvements to Roger Sherman Baldwin Park. BOC members felt strongly that it was not appropriate to proceed with design work at Roger Sherman Baldwin Park before decisions are made regarding the future of the largest structure on the site, the former Teen Center building. While members clearly understand the importance of advancing projects in parallel to avoid delays and rising costs, they also felt it was incumbent on Town Hall to present a reasonable and cohesive project scope, which is missing here. BOC's vote was 12-0-0. We urge you to vote yes. It is important for the RTM to flag when there is a core and objective flaw in project scope, and that is certainly the case at this point with this project. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a couple of people who've signed up to speak. Monica Prohoda, who I believe is still online, maybe. Ms. Prohoda?
Hi, Monica Prohoda, District 12. Thank you, Madam Moderator and all RTM. I also, for the reasons that were just stated by Mr. Waters, urge you to vote as he has suggested. Thank you.
Okay, and then I have a Jill Erst. She was registered before, but wasn't. No? Okay, we can't find her. And Jim Michael, our Commissioner on Public Works. Final speaker.
Thank you. Just for clarity, Roger Sherman Baldwin Park, we have a $250,000 appropriation requested. $150,000 is for the initial review and consultation to determine the relocation of the Parks and Rec building, and the next $100,000 is to start the design process for the building, or for the site as a whole. Although specifically not outlined that the Arch Street building itself is included in that, and this funding is not intended to fund reviews by the Arch Street Task Force. The overall site as we move forward will be reviewed. So I do request that you support keeping this whole funding in on this project, and that we continue to fund this. The VET has conditioned that last $100,000 until such time as we've got a plan for the Parks and Rec staff that are there. So we would anticipate that the Arch Street Task Force will be substantially complete with their initial assessment of that building and able to direct us on what their thoughts are when we start moving towards the final or towards the conceptual design of the overall site. So please keep this funding in. Thank you.
Okay, so Commissioner Michael was our final speaker, so I'm going to call for the vote. Craig, can you post the motion up? Okay, this is the BOC motion to reduce $100,000 from DPW account 345-983-27343 Roger Sherman Baldwin Park redevelopment. If you're in favor of that motion to reduce, you would vote yes. If you are not in favor, you would vote no. You'll have a minute. Could you open the vote, please? Has everyone voted who would like to vote? Yes? All right, we are going to close the vote. Maybe we're not going to close the vote. I'm sorry?
There's no.
Can we close the vote? Okay. Okay, I have the motion to reduce the Roger Sherman Baldwin Park redevelopment by $100,000. Those in favor, 136, opposed 61, abstaining 4. That motion has carried. Craig, can you show the vote, please? There you go. Okay. Now, we are going to keep humming along. We are now back in our operative document. Page 12, we are at 380 Fleet, 440 external entities, 680 Board of Education, where we have our next motion, which is 956-27379 building infrastructure, GHS pool replacement. And I believe that is being offered on behalf of District 8. So could I get Cheryl Moss, Chair of District 8, please?
Good evening. The D8 motion is to reduce the $4 million funding in account 680 Board of Education, building infrastructure, GHS pool replacement by 2.4 million to a reduced total of 1.6 million. Thank you.
That being offered on behalf of a district does not require a second. Would you like to give your district's report?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Moderator. At our district meeting, Phil Dodson made a motion to reduce funding for the GHS pool replacement, citing that the Board of Education needs 1.6 million to complete the required municipal improvement process with P&Z. The funding request includes 2.4 million for the A&E design phase. Mr. Dodson felt Section 99 of the town charter precludes funding more than is necessary to obtain MI approval. It was then noted that we had not received any prior indication from Mr. Dodson that he intended to make this motion, neither before the meeting, as I had requested of the district, or while there were 3 representatives from the BOE available to answer questions. In fact, much more time was spent discussing the problems of finding somewhere to keep the buses than any other part of the school's budget. The pool funding was mentioned briefly only during a general discussion of the budget with Doug Fenton of the BET before the BOE reps arrived. Mr. Dodson's motion was seconded, which prompted a discussion that focused largely on whether or not we had the facts necessary to make an informed decision. There was no real discussion on the merits of the project, only the claim that the funding was more than we needed, was more than needed to apply for the MI approval, and that process was not being followed. Doug Fenton noted that 60% of the funds are conditioned on receiving the MI to keep the project moving forward due to all the urgent issues with the pool. Coming back to the RTM would create additional delays in getting this project underway. These are the same conditions applied to Riverside school funding, which was not questioned. The vote was 6-5-8 with 7 members absent. The large number of abstentions was due to a lack of prior warning of the motion to cut funding, which members felt put them at a disadvantage without having any proponents of the project available to answer questions. One member noted the hours they had spent reviewing the rink budget request because they had prior notice of the potential for a motion to reduce that budget item, whereas this motion seemed to come out of left field. They felt it was introduced without the preparation or transparency that a significant decision deserved, and did not feel it was reasonable to make a decision on such an important issue without balanced discussion, proper notice, and the opportunity for those directly involved to respond. Many expressed regret that their abstention let the motion pass, and if allowed to vote again, they would have changed to a no vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now turn to our speaker sheet. Monica Perhoda. Craig, can you find Monica Perhoda? To be followed by Connor McMahon.
Hi, Madam Moderator. I will pass on this one, thank you, but I urge voting in favor of funding the pool. Thank you.
Thank you. Connor McMahon to be followed by Terry Lowe.
Good evening to the Greenwich community. My name is Connor McMahon, and I'm one of the co-captains of the Greenwich High School varsity boys swim and dive team. I'm speaking tonight to urge you to vote no to the District 8 motion to reduce funds from the architectural and design budget, as it will effectively delay construction of the pool for another year. You may not be aware, but our team has already been adversely affected due to the pool deficiencies this past year. In fact, this was the very first year that the swim and dive team were split up for practices and meets, with the dive team practicing at the YMCA. Dive meets were often on separate days as well, so there was very limited interaction compared to every other year between swim and dive teammates. This was a hard pill to swallow, as the diving team is an integral part of the team and the culture. I think that I can speak for the entire team when I say that this has taken a toll on morale for swimmers, but especially divers, and this is unsustainable. There's also another reason why the pool construction cannot be delayed, and that is because excellence can't wait. With 55 FCIAC titles, 51 state LL titles, and winning our 40th state opens this past March, most of it has to do with the amazing coaching and leadership of Coach Terry Lowe, diving Coach Thompson, Coach Jimmy, and Coach Melly. But it also comes from all the hard work our swimmers and divers put in the pool, 6 days a week, and sometimes even twice a day during the December and February breaks. According to the powers that be, we need a new facility, and we need one as soon as possible. If there is a construction delay, it could severely affect the GHS aquatics program as a whole. With no pool construction in sight and major uncertainty, a serious risk posed could be that swimmers, divers, and water polo players return to swim and play for their club teams, leaving the high school's amazing swim, dive, and water polo teams. Please vote no to the District 8 cut and support all of the GHS aquatics teams, as there are 4 high school teams that use the pool all 3 seasons, not to mention lots of community groups and club teams that use the pool all year round. Thank you.
Dan, can you get a timer up there? We need a 2-minute timer for everybody. Terrence Lowe to be followed by Kevin Thompson. Gotta go to 2 minutes, yeah.
Moderator Vulgaris, members of the RTM, I'm here to ask you to reject the motion to reduce the design budget for the new GHS pool. As the longtime coach of the boys swim and dive team and previously of the boys water polo team, I can tell you that the key to the incredible long-term success of both the boys and girls teams in all 3 of these competitive activities is continuity. And nothing is more essential in maintaining that continuity than the facility itself. In addition to the code concerns regarding the current facility, the greatest concern is the condition of the pool. We have been told that we are on borrowed time. The pool is on its last legs. A breakdown of the existing facility would destroy that continuity with no alternatives with which to turn. Our teams with scores of young athletes would be without a home, without a place to train or to compete, and to continue our program of excellence. The feasibility committee is very close to having an approved plan for a new facility. Any cut to the design budget, once plans have been approved, could delay the project by 1 or 2 years. we may not have that time. Please reject the motion in order to make sure the design work can be done in a timely fashion.
Kevin Thompson, to be followed by Molly Salibi.
Good evening, fellow RTM members. My name is Kevin Thompson. I proudly represent District 8. I also come before you tonight as the head diving coach at Greenwich High School for nearly the past 20 years. While I am proud to represent District 8, I am disappointed to be standing here tonight opposing a proposed cut brought forth by my own district. This amendment was supported by only 6 of our 26 representatives in a 6-5-8 vote held at the end of a very long meeting at a time when some members were no longer able to participate, myself included. I also think it is important to note that the same proposal was rejected unanimously by our friends and neighbors in District 12 by a vote of 0 to 19. I urge you to vote no on this proposed $2.4 million cut to the architectural and engineering funding for GHS Natatorium, tennis court, and driveway project. This is not simply a discussion about building a building project. This is about student safety, opportunity, and the future of aquatics in Greenwich. As many of you know, the current pool is at the end of its life and could fail at any moment. Dive teams are already displaced because of the facility does not meet the safety requirements for diving, leaving our athletes without an adequate home for practices and competitions. I have seen firsthand the impact of this that this has had on our students. This year, our divers were forced to combine competitions and lost valuable opportunities to prepare for championship season. Perhaps even more importantly, our swimmers and divers were separated, preventing the sense of team unity and camaraderie that has long defined Greenwich athletics. These programs are not just about competition. We need to remember that Greenwich Aquatics is one of the crown jewels of our community. This year alone, both our boys and girls swimming and diving teams won state open championships. Over the years, Greenwich High School Aquatics has produced All-Americans, Division 1, 2, and 3 athletes, national champions, and even Olympians. Greenwich and aquatics are synonymous with one another. Why shouldn't our students have a facility that reflects that excellence? Thank you.
Molly Salibi, to be followed by Thomas Feda, who, if he's still with us, would be on the phone.
Hey, Molly Salibi, D8. I've been following the pool tennis egress project closely over these last months and have consulted many key people. I will vote against this motion to reduce. Now serving on the Old Greenwich School Building Committee, I have real-time relevant experience with school building projects. The pool is a high priority for GPS. Please facilitate moving it along ASAP. Vote for the full A&E, understanding 60% is conditioned, and reject this motion. Pledging my support, however, to the BOE and GPS, I urge an initial public hearing be held within the next few weeks and a first read of the full ed specs within a month. This is a high-priced, major capital project with significant potential impact on the town. Input is vital, as has been noted with tennis stakeholders. Please include the RTM, a couple of hearings, a final ed spec vote by the full board, a fundraising guarantee, determination on facility operation and control. All must be decided before a preliminary site plan. More pressing, it's 3+ years for a new facility, whether built in place or not. My family has had a GHS Memorial Award in our father's name since 1991, 35 years of recognizing a senior who has excelled in academics and athletics, and we're very proud of that. Several from aquatics, including a recent recipient who went on to Indiana. I am well aware of a disruption to the program having ramifications beyond high school. What today is the plan should the pool get shut down? The state can change its mind. Think stadium bleachers and CMS, or something unforeseen on the pool. Think North Miami ceiling. To the feasibility committee on fundraising and naming, I'm certain many would join me in wishing to have Julian Fraser honored in a meaningful way in the new natatorium. Please keep this in mind as plans develop. Thank you.
All right, Thomas Feda, to be followed by Oliver Burke. Thomas Feda was online earlier. No? All right, Oliver Burke, to be followed by Giorgio Michaelides.
Good evening. My name is Oliver Bierke, and I'm an 8th grader at Central Middle School. I've been swimming for as long as I can remember and sitting in the GHS bleachers watching my 3 sisters swim for GVSD even longer. I've dreamed of being part of the Greenwich High School swim and water polo teams my entire life. I've been to countless GHS swim meets and water polo games. I know every cheer, every fight song, and every tradition. I've even sweat through this rubber cardinal mascot mask to fire up the crowd. I've spent years watching older swimmers achieve best times, earn All-American honors, get recruited to D1 colleges, and even compete at the Olympic trials. They've inspired me to work harder and dream bigger. I often think about what it will feel like to finally walk onto that GHS pool deck as a Greenwich Cardinal. But right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about whether I'll even have that chance. The current pool's old, deteriorating, and unreliable. We all know that the mechanical systems are on the verge of failing, and the facility could shut down at any time. For those of us who have spent a lifetime training 6 days a week and working towards high school athletics, that's really hard to think about. This new pool project is about preserving opportunities for the students and the community who rely on aquatics in Greenwich. And reducing this design funding will only slow the project down and create even more disruption for students like me who are about to enter GHS. I'm very grateful for all the work that has gone into this project so far, and I respectfully ask you to approve the full design funding so the new pool can continue moving forward without delay. For me, for swimmers, for divers, for water polo players, and for all the generations of Cardinals who will come after us, this pool matters a lot. Thank you for your time and for everything you do for Greenwich students in our community.
Thank you. Okay, Giorgio Michaelides to be followed by Ellison Charette.
Good evening, members of the RTM. My name is Giorgio Michaelides, and I'm a graduating senior at Greenwich High School on the water polo and swim team. Since I was 4 years old, I've trained and competed in dozens of facilities throughout Connecticut, as well as on a national level through aquatics. And I've seen how high-level programs are meant to function. Greenwich High School's aquatics team competes at a level comparable to private institutions such as Brunswick High School. However, we are at a disadvantage. Our current pool is significantly undersized for water polo, and diving must currently occur off-site due to non-compliance with NCAA headroom requirements. The vote tonight is critical because cutting the design funding does not solve a problem, it creates a new one. The current pool has major infrastructure and compliance issues. We already know the facility could fail at any moment. If that happens, 4 varsity teams and 4 JV teams, our PE programs, and community organizations are instantly put at a loss. We have tried finding alternatives, but after contacting several other local facilities in our area, this was actually done. We've determined that there is no realistic replacement space available that fits the criteria comparable to our natatorium solution. Additionally, our free lifeguard certification classes that are run through the school, which we have a town-wide shortage of, by the way, as well as our frequent revenue-generating swim meets where pool space is rented out to different third-party aquatics programs that contribute towards our facilities, may need to be put to a halt. Any off-site pool alternative would eliminate these opportunities. We are not here to advocate for a luxury project. We are advocating for risk mitigation. Delaying this project now will almost certainly make it more expensive later when budgeting is an issue that we are already working around. This would be a repeat of mistakes made by town officials with the OGS projects in 2025, which ended up costing taxpayers nearly $2 million due to the extensive timeline for funding approvals. Tonight, I respectfully ask you to vote no on this proposed cut and to allow this project to move forward before this delay turns into an even bigger safety hazard and financial crisis. Thank you, and go Cards. And also, I did not use AI in this presentation, but all of my students here, like all my student athletes, were here and we're sacrificing time from studying from our APs in order to be here and represent ourselves. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Ellison Charette to be followed by Jesse Dye.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellison Charette. I'm currently a junior at GHS and I will be one of the team captains for the girls swimming and diving program this upcoming fall. I am here to advocate for the new pool on behalf of the girls swimming and diving program as well as the girls water polo program. Both teams have given me so much and taught me not only how to be a good athlete but a good person, and I will be forever thankful for the long-lasting impact they have left on me. The swimming programs, both girls and boys, have been contenders for state titles, winning year after year and obtaining numerous titles from the FCIAC all the way to the state open. All 4 teams combined have more state championship titles than any other sports team at GHS. The GHS pool is a huge piece of our success and necessary for all sports teams that train there. With the issues of the current pool, it is vital that the budget is not cut to ensure the new pool being built can uphold all of the standards our 4 teams need. Girls and boys swimming typically host FCX, one of the first rounds of the state qualifier meets, which would not be possible if we did not have our own pool. The new pool would not only benefit the teams and students at GHS, but also the broader community. It would be another source of income for the school and the town with its potential ability to be rented out for swim meets, dive meets, water polo tournaments, or utilized by residents of the town. Additionally, having a new and improved pool would ensure that we are all still able to host our home meets as well as one championship meet. I want to emphasize how important this project is to all 4 programs that we have at GHS who currently use the pool, and I urge you all to consider the positive benefits this new pool would bring to our town. Thank you.
Okay. Jesse Dye to be followed by Jonathan Cantor.
Hello, my name is Jesse Dye, and I'm a student athlete at GHS who has spent countless hours at the pool here. At GHS, we're always encouraged to do our best, to push ourselves academically and athletically, but it's incredibly hard to do your best when the facility you rely on every day is becoming increasingly unsafe. For swimmers and water polo players, the pool is where we train and build our futures. The current unsafe pool conditions of high chlorine levels and basic safety issues make it hard for us to perform at the level GHS and our coaches expect us to do. It affects our health, our training, and even the colleges we can hope to swim or play for. And our dive teams have already been displaced because the pool no longer meets required regulations. Cutting $2.4 million from the funding doesn't save taxpayers money. It only delays the project by at least a year, increases costs, and puts many student athletes at risk of losing their entire season if the pool fails, and this could happen at any time. The BOE and BET have already approved this funding, and the feasibility committee has spent the last year looking at every potential option. All we're asking is that the RTM keeps the project on track. A no vote on this cut is a vote for safety, for giving students a fair chance to succeed, and for preserving the tradition of excellence our community is known for. Thank you.
Okay. Jonathan Cantor to be followed by James Waters.
Good evening again, everyone. District 12 took up this D8 motion to cut funding for the Greenwich High School natatorium. We voted 0 in favor of the cut, 19 against cutting the funds. Of note, the current state of the natatorium is precarious at best, with only 1 of 4 pumps functioning properly, among other significant issues that threaten the health of the facility and, most importantly, the safety of our students. Furthermore, we've been informed that delaying funding for the natatorium could result in a significant increase in overall cost, approximately 4.5% per year, or between $2.5 and $3 million. For these reasons and more, time is of the essence. District 12's vote of 0 to 19 made it clear that we strongly oppose the D8 motion to cut funding for the GHS natatorium. Thank you.
Thank you. James Waters to be followed by Phil Dodson.
Okay, good evening. For over a year, I've served as the RTM rep to the feasibility committee for this project.
Hang on. RTM rep or community rep?
No, I'm the RTM rep,
Oh, who appointed you?
superintendent.
I don't think the superintendent has the authority to appoint an RTM rep. So we'll discuss that after.
You guys can hash it out.
You're listed as the community rep, not the RTM rep, but that's okay.
I think
Well,
the
that's-
superintendent wanted the RTM's perspective
They
incorporated.
are welcome to do that, but that has to come either from the moderator or if it's a building committee, the chair of the Public Works Committees.
I'll let you guys hash
You
that.
may be demoted to just community rep right now.
I'm good with handling a demotion. However, please vote no on this ill-advised cut, which was made without input or regard for basic facts. It passed a 26-member district with just 6 votes. Here's why it makes no sense and why the Education Committee and District 12 overwhelmingly opposed it. First, it saves nothing on property taxes. It does put pressure on the general fund without an interim appropriation. This is poor fiscal stewardship. Second, as you've heard, this delays the project a year, increasing risks and costs. As you've heard, the pool is on the verge of failure, and this heightens the risk of displacing hundreds of state championship student athletes indefinitely without alternative. Third, this does not follow the standard process for priority projects. The town approves A&E funding with full release only upon receipt of MI status. This cut seeks to establish a new normal at odds with taxpayers and oversight in the municipal code. Fourth, the project has strong and broad support from all stakeholders, including neighbors. A cut unwinds support carefully built during feasibility. The BOE, BET, and RTM have all impacted feasibility, examining options and costs, ensuring no stone left unturned. All are documented in the near final ed spec. You should have confidence this is being done right. The RTM will have continued oversight, considering building committee members, receiving quarterly reports, and final say on the MI and construction funds. Please vote no. Let's not repeat our mistakes. Let's support student athlete teams that have won 147 state championships in the past 50 years. Thank you.
All right. Phil Dodson to be followed by Aiden Bukaria.
First of all, this has nothing to do with stopping or preventing the project. What I'm talking about again is process. Municipal improvement is the first process in planning the subject. And I'd like to just comment that just like tonight, anyone can make a motion from the floor, and to give such a negative slant on that is not appreciated by my district chair. We all have heard about the pool, and we certainly want to address the issue, but I'm going to go through process, and this has been so misunderstood tonight. Before you can go proceed with a project, you have to obtain municipal improvement from planning and zoning. And that's the whole point of this. It has nothing to do with delaying the pool or yes or no on whether we should proceed. We should not be funding more than is necessary for obtaining MI approval in accordance with Town Charter Section 99 provisions. Every RTM member needs to be familiar with Section 99 and how it relates to our municipal projects. It's obvious, very obvious tonight that RTM members and others are not familiar at all with this. And frankly, at some point, I think the town attorney or somebody should probably opine on this so that people know the proper procedure. As demonstrated tonight, this section is often misunderstood by many persons. A&E funding follows the MI process. So again, this was totally misunderstood. I wish I had been called first to explain. It had nothing to do with the swim program or delaying the project or anything like that.
Time.
Okay.
Okay, Aiden Bukaria to be followed by Lucy Von Brockel.
Fellow RTM members, thank you for your time and attention as we discuss the potential design cuts to the JHS pool renovation budget that will cause detrimental delays. My name is Aiden Bukaria, JHS class of 23, where I was one of the varsity swim captains. I'm now currently a Division I swimmer at Boston College, and I have recently elected captain for the second time. JHS Swim and Dive was the pinnacle of my high school experience and a launch pad for the success that I and many others have felt. The lessons learned from Terry Lowe and JHS Swim and Dive will not only stick with me for the rest of my swimming career, but more importantly, my life as a whole. The timely pool renovation is an essential part of JHS athletics, directly affecting 4 key sports teams: men's and women's swim and dive, men's and women's water polo, at both the JV and varsity level. The accolades for these teams speak for themselves.
With nearly 147 state titles combined for men and women, JHS Swim and Dive's dominance is no secret to the state, but also the nation. Our programs gain national recognition from key news outlets, allowing for coaches at Division I programs across the country to recruit from JHS specifically because of this dynasty that we've established. Delaying the renovation puts a roadblock to JHS swimmers being recruited at the collegiate level. As a collegiate level swimmer myself, facing other teams at meets and speaking with other collegiate coaches, they know about the dominance of JHS Swim and Dive and ask about my team consistently. Even if they aren't from Connecticut or New England as a whole, they know JHS Swim and Dive. That reputation does not survive a pool closure or even a delay. Cutting funding for the first round of the design will disrupt the key pipeline of swimmers and water polo players to collegiate teams and overall negatively impact their experience at JHS. Please vote no to the design cuts, protect these athletes, protect these programs, and protect the next generation of Greenwich swimmers. Thank you for your time.
Lucy Von Brockel to be followed by Florence Nalepka, if she's still on the phone.
Hi, again, Lucy Von Brockel, District 4, ardent rule follower and student of the charter. Big sister to one of Terry's championship water polo team players and sufferer of a late 1980s swim class at Greenwich High. So I feel for everyone swimming in that pool. So earlier I urged a no vote on appropriating construction funds for Moorlot Park. My concern was that we were skipping a step by bypassing the RTM's established role on capital projects. This motion also seeks to avoid the RTM. The difference is that if we don't approve this motion, we'd be out of compliance with the town charter. Section 99 limits what we can do prior to receiving MI approval. The law department has actually opined on that, and I'm quoting from a 2023 opinion memo from John Wetmore. Once studies and surveys are complete and an MI has been submitted and approved, it would be proper for the town agency or Board of Education to seek funding for the approved project. Part of the funding request would necessarily include the monies needed to complete the previously referenced plan needed to obtain the final site approval. This motion just brings the appropriation into compliance with the charter. It doesn't slow anything down. Interim appropriations at this amount are not that difficult for us to accomplish. It's not going to hold everything off for a year. What troubles me about the motions being considered tonight is the inconsistency. In two cases, we're being asked to bypass the RTM by combining what is normally two appropriations into one. And the argument is often just trust us, skip this step, we'll sort it out later. The cut to Roger Sherman Baldwin Park actually does the opposite. We should not pick and choose which processes to follow based on which projects have the most organized constituencies or the most support at any given moment. Process exists explicitly to protect against that. Supporting this motion is a support for doing this correctly and retaining our oversight role on expensive capital projects, and you can still cheer the Cards and our amazing swimming team. Thank you.
Okay. Is Florence Nalepka there? She was on for the first. No? Okay. Jill Ernst, who has not been with us, I don't think, all evening, which leaves the final speaker who will get 5 minutes if necessary, which is, I believe is it Ben Branyan or Tony Jones?
Good evening, everyone. Ben Branyan, Chief Financial Administrative Officer for Greenwich Public Schools. Several of the comments I hopefully will not be too repetitive. Some have already been made, but just to quickly recap. The current pool has serious safety and compliance issues. Several of those issues have been identified as non-compliant main drain system, risk of suction entrapment. 3 of the 4 drains are not functioning. Diving clearance violations, both overhead and within the pool itself. Inadequate emergency access around the pool deck, drainage and environmental compliance problems, and mechanical and filtration systems are at the end of the life. It's been said that we're on borrowed time. That is an accurate representation. We have done temporary mitigation. We've had emergency shutoff valves installed. The diving board is no longer accessible. working with the town risk manager and the Board of Education, we believe the appropriate strategies have been implemented to maintain the operations. However, the pool could fail at any time. As mentioned before, the educational specs are currently underway. We have invested existing funds to develop them. We have a formal process that involves architects, engineers, coaches, administrators, and community stakeholders. And I am confirming that Mr. Waters is the community representative, not the RTM representative.
Where is he? He gave himself a promotion. Back to community rep you go.
He maintained his rank as community member on the committee. The BOE is anticipating to approve the ed specs within the next 1 to 2 months. Without funding authorization now, the project will lose momentum. Process is important. We believe we are following the process as it has already been stated. This is the same process that was approved and funded for Riverside educational specs. I think I will read the BET conditions that are in the budget, so that they have already conditioned these funds. The condition is 2.4 million, or 60% of the 4 million. The Board of Education, we have explained that the complexity of this project, which encompasses the construction of a new pool, tennis courts, as well as a secondary egress, it expects we'll need 1.6 million, or 40% of the funding, to get the MI approval stage, which requires a preliminary site plan. The balance will be upon release, would be used for A&E. So only the BET can release the 2.4. If we will have access to the 1.6. This is consistent with Riverside, which has been already approved. It's consistent with the charter as we see it. This project requires high degree of coordination between soils, tennis courts, underground utilities, driveway, Connecticut DOT approvals, water course, one word, and high school operations. These issues are complex and require continued architectural engineering work to properly resolve all of these issues. We see this as the bottom line, that this is the early stage. There's ample opportunity for public comment, both at the Board of Ed, BOS, and P&Z levels. This is the approval to move the project forward. It's not funding construction authorization. Stopping work now will continue to create efficiencies and scheduling delays, and we believe that construction escalation continues to rise annually, and delays today only means higher taxpayer costs tomorrow. And as a reminder, the Board of Ed and the BET unanimously approved this capital item.
Okay, that concludes the debate for this District 8 motion. So Craig, can you please show the vote, or the motion, what we'll be voting on? Okay, this is the District 8 motion to reduce $2,400,000 from BOE Major Object Code 680-956-27379, which is the GHS pool replacement. If you are in favor of that motion to reduce, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. And Craig, could you please open the vote? Everyone voted who wants to vote? Okay. Craig, could you please? Yep, everyone's voted? Okay. Craig, could you please close the vote? I have the result of the District 8 motion. Those in favor, 34, opposed 162, abstaining 4. That motion has failed. So could you please show the vote? Right, moving right along, we're back to the operative document. All right. We're gonna go 701 Greenwich Library, 816 Parks and Recreation Skating Rink, 817 Parks and Recreation Western Civic Center, 882 Parks and Recreation Parks, Playgrounds and Fields, 822, my God. 833 Parks and Recreation Beaches, 834 Parks and Recreations Harbors and Boating Facilities, 999 fixed charges. Sewer Maintenance Fund, 361 DPW Sewer Maintenance Fund, 361 Sewer Improvement. Now we're on page 15 under 219 Parking Services and 318 DPW Highway Traffic Engineering. 219 Parking Services, 317 DPW Highway Parking. 670 School Lunches. 450 Nathaniel Witherell. 824 Griffith E. Harris Golf Course. Now we're in OPEB, 131 Retirement, 132 OPEB. 187 Shellfish Commission and 834 the Harbor Management Commission. Now we go into the budget resolutions. And I am aware of the L&R motion, which we will take up to amend Budget Resolution 30. Mr. Bergweger.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Our vote on this was, I've already forgotten, but it was in favor. Should I read the change or it was sent out in this form with to hopefully to everyone, and we have, as it appears on the call, the red line changes and the clean copy, and it goes, it's a full paragraph. So, but we addressed all the points that I had described earlier when I presented this before.
And there is a copy, we put a copy online. I believe it's under the news flash section if anyone wants to look at it on their phone and they have any questions about it. But I think Mr. Bergweger gave a pretty comprehensive report about how they were trying to modify the resolution to account for the various situations we find ourselves in with this item, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also want to note that there's a pair of eyeglasses here on the lectern. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Does anyone want to debate Resolution 30, the L&R motion? There are some people that may have signed up, but I don't think they are intending to, which is Jill Ernst again, who's not been here this whole meeting. And Jonna Calandranis, who spoke on the ice rink. I would be amazed if they are so interested in local government at Resolution 30 level, but maybe, you know. All right, I don't think they're there. Does anyone else want to debate it that's in the room, or can we move to the vote? Okay, we're gonna move to the vote. Okay. if you are in favor of the legislative and rules motion, which is cleaned up Resolution 30, to be more consistent with all the reasons that Mr. Bergweger outlined in his earlier report, you would vote yes. If you are opposed to cleaning up this resolution, you would vote no. Okay. So can we open the vote? Eleanor, motion to amend budget resolution number 30, yes or no? Okay, so everybody voted who would like to vote? Okay, Craig, can you please close the vote? I have the vote on the LNR motion to amend budget resolution number 30. Those in favor, 174, opposed 6, abstaining 7. So that motion has carried. So that budget resolution will be changed. Now, District 1 wanted to offer a motion to amend the budget resolution. Unfortunately, that resolution is not in legal order for a couple reasons. The first is that the entire purpose of having budget resolutions is it bypasses the RTM. So you are saying we are giving the authority to the BET or department head to accept grants, apply for grants, proceeds from rental funds, apply and receive state and federal grants. There is one reference in the budget resolution, which is for the National Opioid Grant, which is going through the federal courts. So what you are proposing is counter to what a budget resolution is. Yes, Mr. Levine. Can you come to the podium, please?
So if you go to page 27 of the document that we're reading, the first number of these resolutions, this number 1, if you read the wording in this document, it says that appropriations can be made upon approval of the BET and the representative town meeting if necessary under Article 2, Section 30 of the Charter. All we're proposing is to take that second part, which says, and the representative town meeting if necessary under Article 2, Section 30 of the Charter, and have it apply to number 30 as well.
Wait a minute, I'm looking at Article 2, which?
On page 24 or page 27 as printed.
All right, let's look. Page 27.
This is the resolutions of the Board of Estimation and Taxation, Representative Town Meeting. This is the section that we're in. I'm just reading from the first,
Can you just read me, is it 24, 25? Which one is it?
number one. So this is number one in the list of 30. We have a motion. So if you go to number one at the very, very beginning of this section, it's on page 24 prior to the edited version of the document. It's on page 27 as edited.
So page 24.
Yes.
And you're looking at grant number 1,
Correct.
which is the first selectman is authorized to apply,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay, but so the first selectman is authorized to apply to enter into grants related, accept grants from the Department of Homeland Security and the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection grants programs. And such grants shall become appropriations upon the approval of the BET and the representative town meeting, Article 2, Section 30. I do not believe that that applies to what we have just done. So first of all, we would largely be unwinding what we did with LNR. And I still believe, but I would like an opinion from the town attorney.
Just to be clear about what the motion that was proposed by District 1 or would be proposed by District 1, it is to only add to the now approved number 30 from LNR, only add the words and the representative town meeting if necessary under Article 2, Section 30 of the charter. We wouldn't modify anything else. It would
Okay.
literally just be adding those words.
But Article 2, Section 30 of the charter is for interim appropriations. It's for an appropriation over the expenditure. So let me just find that section. Wait. Okay. So Section 30 of the charter, okay, is expenditures in excess of appropriations. That is what we do often here, right? We've approved something for $100,000 and now the bill comes in at 125, and the referring department has to come to us for an additional appropriation,
Right.
right?
Which is what's being proposed here. We have a new source of funds. It could be millions of dollars, and this is just inserting, an ability for the RTM to.
But we do not approve that. What happens is the money is coming in and correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Schellenberg. The money is going to come in from Blue Line or the vendor. We'll just call it the vendor, okay? It is then going to get sent, I believe, to the comptroller. And the comptroller works with the Board of Estimate and Taxation to appropriate the amounts to the accounts that they have agreed on or identified. The
That's how it's
RTM does
worded.
not get involved in that appropriation.
That's how it's worded, and we're proposing that the RTM should have the ability to review in the same way that it does with the other.
But we don't
Interim
ever get involved at that level of appropriation. The BET appropriates, and then if there's an overage, we get involved.
Well,
So if there's the section of the charter that you're referencing, and I could be wrong, seems to refer to the interim appropriations of over $5,000. Let me just have Attorney Schellenberg come up, the town attorney, because
Okay.
this is.
Right. I agree with what the moderator says. That section wouldn't seem to apply to this because it does deal with the interim appropriations.
Right. So, yes, Mr. Lee, why don't you come up?
Okay, so if you look at page 24, the resolutions applies to both grants and other receipts. So it's not just grants. It says it in the heading on the second, I guess, resolution of Board of Estimate, Taxation and Representation Town Meeting, blah, blah, blah. Grants and other receipts. The actual paragraph, the following offices and Department of Town of Greenwich are hereby authorized to apply for and accept grants and to accept receipts from town activities. This is a town activity when we receive monies from a Blue Line.
Wait a minute, go back.
Okay, so if you go
So
to
what page are we on now?
page 24, the initial resolution of the Board of Estimated Taxations and Representation Town Meeting. So it's not just specifically only for grants. It's definitely including grants and other receipts being income being generated from a Blue Line.
Attorney Schellenberg, could you please provide some clarity on that?
I mean, I've never understood it that way, and frankly, I'm questioning why this language is in number one as well. Because again, the whole idea, as the moderator said, of these budget resolutions is to bypass the RTM, right? If you don't want to bypass the RTM, then you don't need the resolution at all. So that's why this really doesn't make sense to me. Right.
My understanding is item 30 allows the town to accept the monies so that it can go to the comptroller and then to be dispersed afterwards. If without item 30, the town cannot really accept these funds and will be languished in limbo. Am I not correct? Or, I mean,
Attorney Schellenberg.
Again, the whole idea is to bypass the RTM. So it doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
So I think that, if you stick with the original idea of why we have these resolutions, it is to bypass the RTM, right? That is what we're doing, is we are giving the authority for these departments to accept things, grants, rental agreements, things like that. If you did not want if you wanted the RTM to be involved, I think.
we should strike
Did-
this item.
Wait a minute.
I'll make a motion to strike item 30
Right,
then.
right. That's what you would do.
Okay, then I'm making
Okay.
a motion to.
Okay, so does everybody understand that option? That's what you would do, right? So, Attorney Schellenberg, oh. Sure. Okay, Ms. LaBalbo is our moderator pro tem and has an explanation for item 1.
So in my experience in applying for certain grants either at a federal or at a state level require a resolution that says that the legislative body authorizes the selectman or the mayor to enter into a grant agreement. If they had to come here every time they wanted to go apply for a grant, it could theoretically, they might not be able to achieve as many grant applications as we would like them to. So I just wanted to put the clarification there for item 1. This resolution allows somebody who's trying to apply for a grant to say, we're okay, we've been authorized, we'd like to apply for this grant. And so that's, I believe, the generation of this language. In communities where you don't have this language, it would have to be put on our call. Maybe it doesn't align with the grant schedule, and then our community could miss out on either federal or state dollars. So it's not every grant, it's not every grant scenario. You can see that there are certain agencies called out here. Department of Homeland Security has certain security grants that are through the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services. It's just certain grants. So I'm sure it's not everyone.
So, Mr. Lee, what I will say is I will not accept the proposal you have made. However, if you as an individual, just requires a second, I'm sure somebody in your district will second it, that you would like to strike Resolution 30 in its entirety?
Yes.
Okay. Just as a point of procedure, it potentially would unwind some of the arguments we heard for, well, would unwind everything that L&R was trying to do with their structure originally, but that's okay.
I'm willing to go there.
Okay, okay, you're willing to go there. Okay, at 10:30, that's where you're going. Okay,
Yes.
would you like to make the motion then?
Yes, I make a motion to strike item 30 from the proposed amendments to the resolution of
The
board.
budget resolutions. Okay, and is it seconded, Mr. Levine? Okay, so that has been moved and seconded. Would anyone like to debate it, or would you just like to? Okay, Ed Dudakis first, Mr. Waters second. Come on up.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, members of the town meeting. I know it's late. I want to go home too. However, this is an important item. This is a brand new item being put up this year here. And it's being put up this year because this has to do with the speed cameras. And it has to do with the money that we're getting for the violations that our citizens are being charged with. That money is an enormous amount of money. It is hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And that is money that we should be able to see where it goes, and it does not just go off into Never Never Land. And that's why our district got together and wanted to have approval of that money coming in. This isn't a small grant. This isn't something that has high visibility. This is hundreds of thousands of dollars, which goes to the police department every month that we have no way of knowing what is being done with it. And I think at the very least, we need to know what's being done with it. And perhaps after a year or two, we might say, okay, we're comfortable where it's going, and then we can put this in. But for right now, I think it's very important that there be full and open transparency on these speed cameras and what's being done with this hundreds of thousands of dollars that's being charged to our residents every single month. Thank you.
I do want to say, Mr. Dudakis, I believe that, Mr. Waters, I believe that L&R did in their modified resolution include language so that money can only go to very specific uses, and I believe they covered that in there. Okay, okay. Mr. Okay. Okay. Okay, Mr. Waters.
So point of information.
Yeah.
If we approve the
Lee motion.
the Lee motion, what would the process be for this? I just I'd like to understand that.
Well, I think that for all of, and the attorney can assist me with this, and also the comptroller if they want to, and the BET. We can have everybody do this. I thought the swimming pool and the rink would be the big issue, not Resolution 30. So I think that L&R worked very hard to clarify the language so that it would be as seamless and as effortless as possible, so that the vendor can get the money to the comptroller can get it, BET approval, and then it can go to the appropriate accounts. I think the net effect, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if we completely eliminate this resolution, so if the Lee resolution were to pass, it would unwind all of that and perhaps make it very challenging and difficult to access the money that we currently have sitting in our accounts for this now suspended speed camera program, right?
Yeah. So my question is specifically, what is the process if this is stricken?
Attorney Schellenberg will.
Right. So if this is stricken, then this would just be handled the way any appropriation would be handled without a budget resolution. So it would have to come to the RTM. So I do believe that if that is the goal, that your motion now is the more appropriate motion to accomplish the goal, if that is what the body wants to do.
Yes, Mr. Meskers, come to the phone, the podium.
Someone turned on the air conditioning when we approved the ice skating.
Amazing. I
Ice
am one
skating
step
rink.
away from Scarlett O'Hara and wearing these drapes as like a coat. It is so cold up here.
So, as I understand the issue, there is money resting away from the town residents in an account based on the speeding tickets, the questionable speeding tickets. If we go down this road, does that mean we, one, have to approve the receipt of the money? And then are we going to improve $400,000 worth of individual disbursements to town residents? Because we have to sit through that, I'm done. I mean, so what are we approving? Just the receipt? Because there's going to be, the refunds are going to require, I assume, if nobody has authority, are we going to have to vote on each one?
I don't know the answer to that, and perhaps, I don't know if our comptroller or the BET has an answer. I don't know if by unwinding this, we have already made a situation that we know is complex, because we have to have a safety plan voted on, and this program is largely suspended right now. So I don't know
A
if any.
pool of money comes back as a refund, and then the town is under the obligation to refund to the individuals, or are we going to instruct the collection agency to refund? It's messy.
Ask Joan Lynch, our comptroller, to.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We currently have $480,000 sitting in account. It's not going to be several hundred thousand per month. The reason why it was high for 1 month is because we were catching up. So some of the extrapolation of amounts are on the high side. That said, they're sitting in our account because we want them in our account. We manage our account, and we want them here. So we want to receive them. If you want to delegate, take the authority back or remove any other, bring authority back to you as RTM members for appropriating those funds, that will, I don't really see a problem with that. It will just take that amount of time, but you should know that the ordinance and the resolution are very specific with what the funds can be spent on. The police and DPW are planning on working very closely on that. With all the scrutiny and eyeballs on this program, pretty much guaranteed that you will know exactly what's being spent on. So, if you want to argue it between the projects, but it's very limited what it can be spent on. And I think that LNR spent a lot of time going through the wording of this resolution to make it acceptable. So beyond that, I'm not an attorney and I'm not ruling from a legal standpoint. We spent a lot of time with this vendor and on this program, and there are a lot of rumors out there that are sorry.
Yep.
Of course.
Mr. Lee.
All right. So I know everyone's talking about the speed cameras, but this actually goes beyond speed cameras. This really goes back to the authority for the RTM, right? We are given the responsibility to do and dictate what comes in and also what goes back out. And with that being said, we just hear from the town attorney, that this is to bypass the RTM. Okay, I have a problem with that.
Well, all the resolutions bypass the
Well,
RTM.
yes, but this is.
Are we going to revisit all of them?
We should, maybe we need to. I'm just saying from this perspective, all I'm saying is before us is item 30. And my feeling is that it goes beyond, again, it's just about receiving funds, and the RTM should be responsible to be part of this process. And that's my thing.
Okay. Kimberly Blank, member of District 7, Chair of District 7.
Like everyone here, this is the first time hearing of it, but I have to say it sounds pretty reasonable to me. This program is different than all of the other ones here. All of the other ones here are things we do year in and year out, and we don't really want to have to go and sit through and think about each one because we've already thought about it. This is a new one, and there are several ways that it can be spent according to state law. And I think that we should be able to, if this is something that goes forward after we approve the safety plan, I think this is something that we, as a body, should be able to weigh in on what we think is the best use of these funds. And if we, if we leave item 30 in, then basically we bypass what the best use of these funds are. So even within the limited confines. So it actually sounds like a pretty reasonable idea to me. I'm going to vote for it.
Would anyone else like to comment? Did BET want to comment at all? You have no comment? No? Okay. My over-under wasn't until 11:30, so.
I mean, I don't want to comment for very long. It's 10:40 at night, but I will tell you that we have a superb finance department. They have been working diligently with this particular vendor. We want the money, as Ms. Lynch said, to be in our coffers. We want to earn the interest. We don't want the vendor to retain the money. We have an existing contract. The way the BET Budget Committee works is we typically get these grants, we get these receipts, and we allocate them to various accounts as the department head wishes. We have an agenda. Everything is posted. Everything is available. Our meetings are public. If you guys wish to, because it's a new program, and I respect that. I know there's been a lot of issues about it. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, that's certainly within your purview. We had suggested that we would appropriate on a semi-annual basis as being a reasonable amount of time to do it monthly, or the cadence of your meetings. I can see it getting a little unwieldy. So I would just say we have a process. I think it works. And I do think our finance team has got a handle on this, along with our police department and DPW. Thank you.
Mr. Bergweger? Chair of Legislative and Rules.
The state law that authorizes the use of these cameras and the town ordinance specifies exactly what the proceeds can be used for, and that is included in the LNR amendment. And it is that they can be used for improving transportation mobility, investing in transportation infrastructure improvements, or paying the costs associated with the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices. Now, that's a fairly broad, but it's very specific. You can't use it for anything else.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Levine, why don't you come up?
We were aware of that state law when we made the motion. And again, we wanted the motion to be as simple as possible, just to have RTM oversight. And so understanding what transportation, applications are sort of being funded seems like something that the RTM should be able to have oversight and insight into. And, it doesn't seem to me to be any reason not to strike this, understanding it's just like any other budget item. So I'd encourage you to support the motion. Thank you, guys.
Does anyone else want to say anything before we go to a vote on this item? Okay, we do not, have you created one? It's going to say the Lee motion to delete.
Strike items.
Delete budget resolution 30.
Okay.
Strike and delete are being used interchangeably at this time, apparently. Okay.
All right.
Okay, we ready? Okay, so this is the Lee motion to delete item budget resolution 30. So if you you're in favor of deleting this, you would vote yes. If you are not in favor and you would like to keep the resolution, if you it's now amended, right? Because it's LNRs. If you want to keep the LNR one, you would vote no. Oh, yeah, you can open it. I'm sorry.
Well, I wrote where I said, after you, was you right? I will do it till 5. I told the same thing for Wednesday.
Has everybody voted who wants to vote on this? Okay, we are going to close the vote. We have 116 left. Okay, I have the result on the Lee motion to strike budget resolution number 30. Those in favor 79, opposed 107, abstaining 8. That motion has failed. Craig, could you please show the vote? So for practical purposes, that means that resolution 30 as amended by LNR is what is in play right now. Okay. Now, we have gone through, there are no more edits to the budget resolution. So now we are going to take a vote on item 3, which is the annual budget for fiscal year 26-27. And then we're going to have 2 separate votes on the bonding resolution. So this is going to be our first vote on item 3, and it will be as amended. Okay, so item 3, annual budget FY 26-27 as amended. If you're in favor of this budget, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. What? The music. I don't think we want to at this, let's just ride it out. You can hum. Yeah, you can open it.
Well, no, I think it passed.
Okay. Has everyone voted who would like to vote? Okay, I'm going to close the vote. Okay. I have the vote on item 3, which is the budget. Those in favor, 170, opposed 13, abstaining 1. That item has carried. Craig, can you show the vote? Okay, now we have our final 2 votes and we need 116 people here. Otherwise, this whole thing will have been for naught, so do not leave. Okay. Or you're going to get a very big tax bill if you don't approve the bonding and you've just approved a $600 million budget. All right, so I've been given from Ms. Lynch our new bonding number, taking into account the small adjustments we have made this evening. So item 4, which is our capital bonding. Craig, are you ready? It's going to be 71,714,000. So 71,714,000. Yes. We are doing a sewer maintenance bonding after this one. Yeah, I believe I said capital. That would be a lot for sewers, even in our town. Okay, so this is the bonding resolution, capital budget, $71,714,000, correct? Okay, this needs 116 to pass. Craig, can you open the vote?
Although we got this.
Has everyone voted who wants to vote? Okay, we're going to close the vote. All right, I'm delighted to report that we did have 116 people voting on this. Those in favor, 177, opposed 15, abstaining 1. The bonding resolution for capital has passed. Can you show the vote? And we go to our final bonding resolution this evening, which is our sewer. And I had that written down, which is going to be $1,225,000. That has not changed over the course of the evening. Okay. The bonding resolution, sewer, $1,225,000, needs 116 to pass. If you are in favor, you would vote yes. If you're opposed, you would vote no. You open the vote, Craig? do not turn in your clicker. Don't do it. Just do not do it. Because you're gonna, if somebody switches a vote and then they complain, just hold on to it. It's 31 seconds, okay?
Give us a countdown.
Okay, I'm gonna close the vote. Okay. I have the vote. If anyone has a burning desire to learn on the sewer bonding. Those in favor, 186, opposed 1, abstaining 0. The sewer bonding resolution has carried, and with that, fiscal year 26-27 annual budget is in the books. There being no further business, the meeting stands adjourned at 10:59.